Chapter 1862. Go now. Zhuodong was stunned. He had thought that Knight Sorrow would wait for a while before making this decision. We live for the sake of happiness. Don't you feel uncomfortable holding back your anger? Regardless of whether we can defeat them or not, at least we have the courage to fight, Knight Sorrow said. It was not the first time that Knight Sorrow had led an army, so he knew the importance of momentum. An army without momentum was like a sheep that could not be led. With momentum, it did not matter if the army was not strong enough. Strength could be improved, but momentum was the foundation. Go. After a while, Knight Sorrow led the sergeants of the First Army to a large martial arts practice field, or rather to be exact, a high-end station. After the sergeants of the First Army entered, they were intercepted by another group of people. As soon as the conflict broke out, a burly man appeared. Zhuodong, are you still not convinced? Do you expect your new captain, who took office yesterday, to avenge you? The burly man looked at Zhuodong and said, This is the encampment and the martial arts practice field of the First Legion. If you want to take it, I can't protect it. Of course, I have to inform the captain. Also, let me tell you, Zhu Yi, the First Legion won't let go of this territory. Even if we lose, we will take it back. Zhuodong said, Haha, you want to admit defeat without a fight? Your courage is commendable. The sergeants of the Second Army burst into laughter. They were not convinced by the First Army's decision. Different ranks meant different honors. Is it funny? Knight Sorrow walked out with a smile. The nine-headed lion, Zhu Yi, raised his arm to stop the sergeants of the Second Army from laughing. Sergeants are more important than sergeants. You sneered at our brothers in the Heaven Wasteland Army, which makes me look down on you. Besides, it's okay if you can keep this station. If you can't, you won't be able to face others in the future. Knight Sorrow looked at the sergeants of the Second Army with a smile. Knight Sorrow was right. The sergeants of the Second Army had to look down on the sergeants of the First Army. If they could not keep this station, they would be disgraced in the future. You're the first vanguard this time? A billion years ago, I was still very weak, so I was not qualified to compete for the position of the first vanguard. This time, I can participate, but I am not willing to give up my original team. The other captains are the same, so you, as the first vanguard, have no sense of superiority in front of me and the other captains, Zhu Yi said. Very impressive. You belittled me, the number one vanguard, to be worthless with just one sentence. But it doesn't matter. I don't care about other people's opinions. As long as the sergeants of the First Army approve of me, that's enough. Also, since I'm the leader of the First Army, it's only natural for me to seek justice for the First Army. Are you going to let me have this encampment or not? Knight Sorrow looked at Zhu Yi. His words were gentle at the beginning, but when he reached the last sentence, his battle intent rippled in all directions. At this time, the Grand Elder, Emperor Tang, the 7 patriarchs, and Qin Qianjie arrived. They were the first to know that there was a conflict here. After bowing to the Grand Elder and the others, Zhu Yi turned to Knight Sorrow and said, This is the best encampment for the Heaven Wasteland Army. Whoever wants to stay here has to speak with strength. The bigger fist is the reason. You don't have the strength, so if we let you have it, you won't be embarrassed to stay here. Well said. You're so righteous in robbing. But you're also right. Everything depends on strength. The bigger fist is the reason. Today, I'll see if your reason is strong enough. Yi Shang walked a few steps and arrived at the training field in the middle of the encampment. You're asking our leader if his reason is strong enough? You're too funny. A leader of the Second Army said with a laugh. The other sergeants also looked at Knight Sorrow with contempt. I've said that you don't have a good attitude. Then I'll talk to you about this later. Zhu Yi, since we're talking with strength, how do you plan to fight? Knight Sorrow stared at the sergeants of the Second Army, and then looked at Zhu Yi. Zhu Yi's body flashed and landed on the arena. Then he took out a spear that was as thick as an ordinary person's arm and pointed it at Knight Sorrow. You're overestimating yourself. From beginning to end, Knight Sorrow and Zhu Yi did not say anything to the Grand Elder and the others. In the army, it was a tradition to speak with strength. If you couldn't beat your opponent, you would be looked down upon. Knight Sorrow disdained to do so, and so did Zhu Yi. Pu Luo, who came with the Grand Elder and the others, was very angry at Zhu Yi's comment, because Zhu Yi's words were too arrogant. You can go down now. Zhu Yi's body rose into the air, and his arm swung the 6-foot-long spear toward Night Sorrow. He was a 9-headed lion and was good at strength, so he planned to defeat Night Sorrow. Night Sorrow's back shook, and the blood-Kirin evil-slaying spear fell into his hand. Then he shook his arm and pulled it back into the air. Night Sorrow was not afraid of anyone in a head-on fight. If Ju-Yi wanted to attack, he would naturally take it. With a loud explosion, Night Sorrow took 2 steps back, and Ju-Yi was also sent flying back to his original position. Night Sorrow, who had taken 2 steps back, did not give Ju-Yi a chance to attack again. He used the Void Step and rushed in front of Ju-Yi, thrusting out the blood-Kirin evil-slaying spear. He used the Void Extreme Kill, but he did not directly use his lost skill. Ju-Yi was very surprised that he did not gain the upper hand in a head-on clash. The human race's body was weak, and Night Sorrow's body was stronger than his. This was not what he expected. While he was surprised, Ju-Yi released his domain to support himself. Then, he thrusted his spear against Night Sorrow's blood-Kirin evil-slaying spear. With the collision of energy, Ju-Yi was shaken back again. Night Sorrow's blood-Kirin evil-slaying spear had its own compressed domain, so Ju-Yi's domain had no effect and was directly torn apart. Night Sorrow found that after Ju-Yi released his domain, the spear's effect was not as good as the first spear. Therefore, he released his domain as well. Then, he stretched out his left hand and sent a desolate Nirvana palm towards Ju-Yi. At the same time, he used the blood-Kirin evil-slaying spear to cast the true dragon destruction art. Ju-Yi's left hand punched out twice, scattering the energy of the desolate Nirvana palm. Then, he punched to the side and released the control of the desolate Nirvana palm. But at this time, Night Sorrow's true dragon destruction art arrived. At this time, Ju-Yi could not use his full strength and could only block horizontally. Night Sorrow did not choose to fight Ju-Yi head-on. Instead, he used the space-time realm. His body flashed and landed beside Ju-Yi. The blood-Kirin evil-slaying spear shaft naturally smashed into Ju-Yi's chest, sending him flying and falling towards the arena. You want to talk with strength? Then I will show you my strength today. Night Sorrow used the Void Step again and chased after Ju-Yi. You dare to come to our side? A sergeant from the Second Army drew his sword and slashed at Night Sorrow. I just said that I don't like your face. Now, I will teach you a lesson. Night Sorrow used the space-time realm and his body became blurry as he entered an independent space, dodging the sergeant's sword. Then, he appeared again and struck the sergeant's chest with his spear, smashing his chest and sending his body flying. Chapter 1863. With Night Sorrow's space-time realm, his body could switch between the real world and the independent space. This was the power of a top-level defense technique. As long as someone blocked his path to attack Ju-Yi, Night Sorrow would attack with his spear and directly injure them, some in the chest, some in the face. I wanted to save your face, but since you don't want it, I won't be polite either. Night Sorrow's voice came from the tumbling shadows. The sergeants of the First Army were stunned. Night Sorrow was too powerful at this time. It was like he was fighting a group of people alone. You ganged up on our captain, go die! Long Jin and Tianyu were angry. They raised their weapons and were about to fight. However, they were stopped by Pu Luo, who shook his head. His voice sounded in their spirit sea. He promised that Night Sorrow would not be at a disadvantage and that they would not fight. If both sides started a group fight, it would not be good for the reputation and the elders would punish them. Ju-Yi was furious, but Night Sorrow did not fight with him. He defended himself with the space-time realm and stabbed the blood-Kirin evil-slaying spear at him. He had a secret technique, but he could not use it in front of so many people. Not to mention whether he could hurt Night Sorrow, the sergeants of the Second Army would suffer first. Seeing Night Sorrow was invincible, some sergeants of the Second Army did not dare to go forward. If they went forward, they would be beaten. If Night Sorrow swung the blood-Kirin evil-slaying spear at their heads, it would not break their heads, but their faces would be deformed. You're not strong enough, but you're acting like you're going to bite me. Come on. Ju-Yi dodged quickly, and Yi Shang was too lazy to chase after him. He directly entered the ranks of the Second Army and started fighting. Enough, Night Sorrow, stop! The Grand Elder shouted. It was meaningless to continue the fight. The momentum of the First Army had risen. If the fight continued, the confidence of the Second Army would be completely destroyed. Night Sorrow's body flickered twice, and he went out of the fight and landed on the arena. K/forever free W/. Look at Xiao O's words. Solving the problem is our goal. There's no point in fighting anymore, the Grand Elder said. Then I'll listen to the Grand Elder. Soldiers of the Second Army, get out of here. Sergeants of the First Army, listen up. If any sergeants of the Second Army enter this encampment, break their legs and throw them out. I will bear the consequences. Knight Sorrow ordered the sergeants of the First Army. Yes. The soldiers of the First Army were now in high spirits because they had a domineering captain. Listen up. I'm not trying to make you hate me, but I'm warning you. Whoever dares to offend the First Army and despise the sergeants of the First Army will face the consequences. Zhuodong, pack up and move in. Knight Sorrow glanced at the crowd outside the encampment and nodded to Zhuodong. Zhu Yi left with the people of the second team. The winner was the king, and the loser was the bandit. He had nothing to say since he had lost. Go buy some wine. Since it's such a good thing, let's celebrate tonight, Longjin said to a captain named Dan Yong. How dare you drink in the encampment? Yu Kuan said unhappily. You can't talk to me. If you have any problems, go to our captain. Longjin didn't even look at Yu Kuan because he didn't like this old guy. You can't talk to me either. I'm not the captain of the First Army because of you. Besides, we're sergeants who protect the celestial realm. What's wrong with drinking wine when we're tired from training? Contributing to the celestial realm is the right thing to do. If we delay the war, it won't be too late for the elders to punish us. Knight Sorrow looked at Yu Kuan and refuted him directly. He knew that Yu Kuan's wrong command almost caused the Devil King and Lin Piaomiao's misfortune. It was Pu Luo who saved them. The great elder waved his hand and left with his men. What he needed was an army with combat power. As for character, he didn't mind. He had an army that was obedient, but what was the use of having a combat power like Mianyang? After the First Army took over the encampment, more than 260 people moved in. When they saw Knight Sorrow, they took the initiative to salute him. Knight Sorrow's strength was recognized and respected. At night, Knight Sorrow returned to his new residence. Pu Luo, the Devil King, and the others were all there. Very good, very impressive. Who can challenge you in the First Army now? Lin Piaomiao said with a smile. But we've offended them. Knight Sorrow shook his head. Although he didn't want to, he had to offend them. A kind person would be bullied by others. It doesn't matter. We'll deal with whoever comes looking for trouble. Who are we afraid of? Yu Kuan, that old bastard, try to show off again. The Devil King's face was full of murderous intent. Last time, he had lost a lot of his men, which was a hurdle he couldn't get over. At this time, in the new encampment of the Second Army, Commander Xiang Hua was cursing. The Second Army was his men. Xiang Hua was the commander of the Second, Third, and Fourth Army. The Second Army was defeated, which made him lose face. There were 31 armies in the Heaven Wasteland Army. Other than the First Army, the other 3 armies were unified and were under the command of one commander. Other than the First Army and the First Army, there was no ranking. When the Devil King arrived at the First Army, his men were taken over by Fan Tian. Xiang Hua was very angry, but he couldn't vent it. Some emperors didn't know about Knight Sorrow's situation, but he knew. He couldn't get back at him. After repeatedly warning Zhu Yi not to provoke Knight Sorrow, Xiang Hua left. The other commanders of the Heaven Wasteland Army also sternly warned their men not to provoke Knight Sorrow and the First Army. Piao Miao, Devil King. The First Army doesn't look very strong. Why is it the First Army? Knight Sorrow asked, puzzled. The First Army is in an awkward situation. The former captain and a few other captains broke through to the emperor level and left the First Army. Last time, 3 emperors left at once, so their strength dropped. They are the First Army. Another reason is their bravery. The other 30 armies are full, but when the First Army isn't, they don't take a step back. In every war, they use blood to defend the honor and dignity of the First Army. Today you beat up the soldiers of the Second Army. Why didn't the Grand Elder and the 7 elders say anything? Because they also feel sorry for the First Army. Lin Piaomiao said. They are brave. I will treat them well. Knight Sorrow nodded. Thank you for your kind words, Alliance Master Knight. I 10K thank you. A man brought a few people to the entrance of Knight Sorrow's residence. Before the announcement, his voice was heard. Knight Sorrow and the others arrived at the entrance of the residence and saw 4 people, 1 woman and 3 men. The leader was a thin man. Knight Sorrow, this is the former leader of the First Army, Tang Quebec. He is now the special envoy of the Council of Elders. Lin Piaomiao introduced. After greeting Tang Ke, Knight Sorrow looked at the woman. He knew her. She was Elder Chiu of the God Devil Castle in the eastern region. Elder Chiu. Knight Sorrow cupped his hands at Elder Chiu. Chapter 1864. Elder Chiu, you're too kind. I'll do whatever I can. Knight Sorrow invited Tang Ke and the others into his residence. Yi Shang could understand how Tang Ke, Elder Chiu, and the others felt because he had brothers. His relationship with the members of the God-slaying squad was a reflection of Tang Ke and the others. After sitting down, Tang Ke said some sentimental things. He didn't want to leave the First Army, but he had to leave once he reached the Emperor realm. He had communicated with the Elders Association and hoped to stay, but it didn't work out. He also told the Elders Association to disband the First Army for the sake of peace, but it didn't work out either. We're relieved now that you're in the First Army, Elder Chiu said again. Others might not know about Knight Sorrow, but she did. She had seen some information about Knight Sorrow from Elder Naylan and had sent people to investigate. Therefore, she knew about the situation of Knight Sorrow's team. The Elders Association has arranged for other captains to take over. Because we were worried, we tried our best and didn't let them take over. Of course, there are deaths in war, but we don't want to see our brothers in the First Army sacrifice too much, even if their glory is lost in the long river of history. Glory might be important to others, but we want our brothers to stay alive, another man said. Words from the bottom of his heart. Tang Ke and the others spoke from the bottom of their hearts. After chatting with Knight Sorrow for a while, Tang Ke and the others left. They have deep feelings for the First Army. No matter where they go, they can't let go, Lin Piaomiao said. Yi Shang nodded. He understood this very well. Knight Sorrow, what kind of movement skill did you use today, or should I say, a defensive lost art? The Great Demon King asked. When I was in the space of infinite desolation, I learned a lost art called Space-Time Realm based on the performance of the soul-body lost art. It's quite effective. Knight Sorrow explained the Space-Time Realm. It's not just not bad. This skill is heaven-defying. However, because its attributes don't match, I can only admire it. The Great Demon King had a very high opinion of Knight Sorrow's skill. In a battle, if you wanted to kill your enemy, you had to first protect yourself. Knight Sorrow's space-time realm was almost invincible among those of the same level. Even if there were experts who could attack through the space barrier, the attack power would be greatly reduced, and the threat would not be much. You guys won't be able to cultivate in the space-time realm, but there are still people who can cultivate it. Knight Sorrow explained the soul defense secret technique he had developed to everyone present. Everyone present was a veteran of the Humanitarian League. Knight Sorrow hoped that everyone would become stronger. 0% Alliance Master. Do you know that absolute arts are inheritances, and inheritances are usually only accessible to the core members of the clan or sect? Yu Zhu looked at Knight Sorrow and said. Seeing Knight Sorrow pass on the secret technique to everyone without hesitation, Yu Zhu was very touched. In fact, it wasn't just Yu Zhu. The others were the same. We are friends, and we created the Humanitarian League together. So, I hope to see you guys become stronger. No matter when I call for tea, you guys will be there. That is the most important thing. Knight Sorrow smiled and said, What is the name of this skill? Pu Luo asked. I only researched it. I didn't give it a name. Knight Sorrow shook his head. After hearing Knight Sorrow's words, Pu Luo, Ruisi, and the others gave Knight Sorrow a look of disdain. Who didn't immediately give it a mighty name after mastering an absolute art. Then, the few of them discussed and named this absolute art Soul Wave. This was because the principle of this absolute art was to use soul power to create a defense. It sounded simple, but if one didn't know how to use it, they wouldn't be able to practice it. Without a way to condense soul power, the soul power would disperse after leaving the immortal sea without any special ability. The Great Demon King sighed. League leader, since you are so generous, I can't be stingy. I've cultivated 2 absolute arts. Forget about the saber art, It's useless to tell you guys. However, the soul attack absolute art is pretty good. If it weren't for my strong soul defense and soul defense treasures, I would have been killed in the infinite space. The soul attack absolute art that the great demon king cultivated was an illusion and an attack. Its power was directly proportional to his soul power. After chatting for a while, Knight Sorrow felt that the Humanitarian League should have a legacy. He suggested that if possible, they should write down some of their cultivation experiences and leave them in the Humanitarian League for future generations to learn. You can think about it, but you have to be careful. Once our absolute art is exposed to the enemy, there will be some unnecessary trouble. We might even lose, Pu Luo said. It's my fault. After hearing Pu Luo's words, Knight Sorrow felt that he hadn't thought about it thoroughly enough. Second tier, it's not a big problem to take out second-tier battle skills that you don't use much. First-tier absolute arts are not good enough. If we take them out, we have to teach them. The Humanitarian League is a combination of many forces. There are many drawbacks. Lin Piaomiao supported Pu Luo. Knight Sorrow's idea was good, but there were too many implications. After chatting for a while, they went their separate ways. Knight Sorrow and the Great Demon King's soul attack and defense absolute arts had to be learned. Knowing the absolute art was one thing, and whether or not they could cultivate it was another. Knight Sorrow also received some inspiration. His soul-extinguishing slash had produced 3 crescent blades. Although the attack was more powerful, it wasn't focused enough. If he could combine the 3 crescent blades into one, his killing power would increase by a lot. As soon as he thought of this, Knight Sorrow shattered the 2 crescent blades. Then, he merged the energy into the remaining crescent blade. In addition, he merged some shocking scenes he had seen into the crescent blade. The soul attack that the Great Demon King had learned in Infinite Desolation was to merge negative scenes with soul power to affect the opponent's consciousness. Knight Sorrow felt that negative scenes might not have as much impact as shocking scenes. He incorporated the scene of the Yellow Springs River he had seen in the Land of Evil Execution into the soul-extinguishing crescent moon blade. Cultivating an absolute art wasn't something that could be done overnight. Knight Sorrow's clone cultivated while his original body in Yellow Springs River advanced the Soul Destruction Slash. The Soul Destruction Slash was a high-level battle skill. It wasn't at the level of an absolute art. If he merged it with the absolute art that the Great Demon King had taught him, it would become an absolute art with its own characteristics. Knight Sorrow's original body was in seclusion, not in an epiphany. He could communicate with his clone at any time. Using the soul power of an immortal emperor, Knight Sorrow used his understanding of the void, destruction, and space-time attributes to master the law of death in a short time. He began to comprehend the will of heaven and earth. Chapter 1865. During normal cultivation, it was unavoidable for one to reach a bottleneck. If one was stuck, it would take a long time. This was the process for a cultivator to achieve something from nothing. However, it was different if one had a foundation. Knight Sorrow cultivated the death attribute and advanced directly. He didn't need to return to his original state to enter the Saint King realm. While comprehending the death attribute, Knight Sorrow's original body was also researching a new soul attack lost art. He didn't need many lost arts. It was enough to have one that could allow him to dominate in a field. Feeling that he needed time to cultivate this lost art, Knight Sorrow's doppelganger entered the 8-dragon cauldron to accelerate time. After cultivating for more than 2 days in the real world, Knight Sorrow finished cultivating the soul-extinguishing slash. The 3 crescent blades of the soul-extinguishing slash became one, but its toughness and attack power had greatly increased. Knight Sorrow also blended into the scene of the flowing Yellow Springs River. After coming out of seclusion, Knight Sorrow and Lin Piaomiao exchanged pointers. Lin Piaomiao was shocked because the illusion brought by Knight Sorrow's soul attack was very strong. The scene was the Yellow Spring River, but it gave people the feeling of reincarnation. It caused a great shock to the soul and spirit. It could even be said to be immersed in it. Why didn't I have the same idea? I made a mistake. Lin Piaomiao shook her head. She was also cultivating a lost art. She had integrated her sword essence into the soul attack. Now that it had taken shape, it couldn't be changed. It was also a sudden idea. I didn't expect the effect to be so good, Knight Sorrow said with a smile. This sudden idea is amazing. One lost art can be cultivated by 100 people and have 100 different effects. Lin Piaomiao was a little emotional because Night Sorrow's path was different from others. He had his own style. After chatting with Lin Piaomiao for a while, Night Sorrow arrived at the encampment of the First Army. Look at the original 8x chapter A/LQ at this moment in the encampment of the First Army. The soldiers were cultivating in full swing. They were cultivating the combined attack formation. The scene of Night Sorrow, Long Jin, and Tianyu using the combined attack formation and rampaging through the First Army was deeply imprinted in the minds of the sergeants of the First Army. After watching for a while, Night Sorrow called Zhuodong over. All the sergeants of the First Army are emperors. Why do they still use emperors' weapons? Night Sorrow took a closer look and found that apart from a few members, most of them were using emperor armaments. Yes. The best weapon is at the imperial level, Zhuodong said. He didn't understand why Night Sorrow would ask that. To do a good job, one must first sharpen his tools. I still have some time, so come one by one. I'll upgrade your weapons, Night Sorrow said. Captain, are you a refiner? Zhuodong asked in surprise. Due to the limited energy, many accomplished practitioners devoted themselves to cultivation. Good. Come on. Night Sorrow put the 8-dragon cauldron beside the martial arts practice field and nodded to Zhuodong. Night Sorrow didn't study alchemy these days. Instead, he had been studying how to upgrade his weapons. Therefore, his refining skills were at the imperial level. It was not easy to upgrade a weapon. One needed to understand the original formation structure of the weapon. However, Night Sorrow had studied Yan Wushuang's unparalleled formation, which covered many kinds of formation ultimates. Therefore it was not difficult to upgrade some weapons. Moreover, the sergeants of the First Army were using standard weapons with similar internal formations. After cultivating every day, Night Sorrow would stay in the encampment of the First Army to upgrade weapons according to each person's needs. Long Jin, Captain, is so powerful. He can upgrade weapons according to each person's needs. His refining skills are profound. Zhuodong looked at the 8-dragon cauldron beside the martial arts practice field and said to Long Jin with emotion. Of course. Captain is not only skilled in refining weapons, but also in alchemy and formations. However, upgrading weapons in large quantities is very stressful. Long Jin shook his head. He knew Night Sorrow well and knew that Night Sorrow would spare no effort for his brothers. I told Captain to take it slow. However, he said that he didn't know when the war would break out. With the help of the combined attack formation and advanced weapons, our combat strength will be improved and our brothers will be able to come back alive, Zhuodong said. He thought of Tang Ke, who had done the same thing. It took Night Sorrow 2 months to upgrade the weapons and armors of all the sergeants of the First Army while cultivating. Night Sorrow had been busy for several years in the accelerated time. Seeing the sergeants of the First Army wearing new armors and holding new weapons, Night Sorrow was quite successful. When Night Sorrow nodded with satisfaction, the Grand Elder came to Night Sorrow and handed him a storage ring. It cost a lot of materials to upgrade these weapons and armors. You can't pay for it. We will fight side by side in the future, so it's not a big deal. Night Sorrow didn't take the storage ring. Take it. You have to pay for materials as well as effort. The Celestial Wasteland City treats every cultivator who works hard for the Celestial Realm well. The Grand Elder handed the storage ring to Night Sorrow. Then Night Sorrow has to take it. Night Sorrow said with a smile. During this period of time, his small warehouse had indeed consumed a lot of resources. Upgrading weapons and armors required supplementary materials. Night Sorrow and the Grand Elder talked for a while and asked about the reincarnation battlefield. It still needs time. It's a headache to choose who to send in. But after you join the Celestial Wasteland Army, it won't be a problem. The Grand Elder looked at Night Sorrow with a smile because Night Sorrow had really solved the problem. Only emperors could enter the reincarnation battlefield, and there wouldn't be many people. This made the arrangement of personnel a problem for the Assembly of Elders. If the First Army arranged personnel, the others wouldn't be convinced. If the other armies arranged personnel, it would also be difficult to convince them. If the First Army arranged personnel from the other armies, it would be a problem for them to cooperate in battle. Now, under the leadership of Night Sorrow, the First Army smashed the Second Army's place. They were so domineering that none of the other armies dared to challenge the First Army. How many people will enter? Night Sorrow asked. 30 people. With the help of the Celestial Wasteland Tower, Only about 30 people can enter. So you have to figure out the arrangement. After the Grand Elder left, he didn't have a problem, but Knight Sorrow had a problem. The first army had 260 people, but only 30 people were allowed to enter. How should he arrange them? Knight Sorrow rubbed his head and called Zhuodong over. Captain, what's the matter? Zhuodong was very excited. The first army was completely different from the first army before, so he was in high spirits. I'll give you a mission. Once the reincarnation battlefield opens, the number of people who can enter is limited. Choose 30 people. As for who will enter, the Great Elder will let us choose. You can make the arrangements. After Yi Shang finished speaking, he stood up and left. Chapter 1866. After thinking for a while, Zhuodong gathered all the sergeants of the First Army. Before we get down to business, I'd like to say a few words. The First Army used to be glorious. Under the leadership of Captain Tang, we fought bloody battles and won one war after another. Then, we ushered in a low point. We were very depressed. This depression lasted until Captain Yi came. Captain Knight showed me the glory of the future. In my eyes, all the former and later members are my brothers who can share life and death with me, Zhuodong said while looking at the sergeants. Zhuodong's words brought silence. I just wanted to prove that I have no selfish motives. Now let's get down to business. The transmigration battlefield is about to open, and only 30 of us can enter it. We've worked hard step by step, and you may not have any elders in your family. If you have any elders, please stay. If you have wives and children, please stay too. Being alive is always a responsibility. Squad leaders, you can communicate with each other and choose the right ones. Zhuodong said the requirement of 30 people. After disbanding, Long Jin and Tianyu went to the Commander-in-Chief's office. Vice Captain, we've been guiding you to practice the combined attack formation since we came here, so we don't have any squads to take us in. Zhuodong invited Long Jin and Tianyu to sit down and said, you two can cooperate well with Captain Knight, so there's no problem. Tianyu patted his chest and said, I thought we'd have to fight for it. Zhuodong smiled. He knew that Long Jin and Tianyu came from noble families, but they were very sociable in the team and didn't have any eccentricities. He appreciated them very much. On this day, the First Army was in chaos. Because of the limited number of people, the 10 squads began to compare notes with each other to choose the people who would join the First Army. A day later, the list of names was released. There were also a few who joined later, and they were all people who had participated in the battle for the position of the First Vanguard. Their own strength was strong enough. Hu Han, Hua Wuyan, Bai Meng Meng, and Bai Lingling had all entered the list. Knowing that Zhuodong had handled the matter well, Yi Shang was very satisfied. This was a tricky matter for him. In addition, Knight Sorrow gave an order for the selected members to cultivate the joint attack formation alone. He also told Long Jin and Tianyu to cultivate the joint attack formation no matter how many people there were so that they could form the formation at any time. Inside the sacrificial tower of the magic imperial city, Mo Yutian and Mo Tianji had met. The 100 races of the celestial realm knew that the reincarnation battlefield was about to appear. Naturally, they also knew that they were selecting the best of the best. Heavenly Concubine, with the help of the Saint Demon Altar, I can open up a space-time tunnel that can send about 30 people, Mo Yutian said. The demon ancestor's weapon, the Sky Desolation War Halberd, was left in the reincarnation battlefield. This time we must get it back. I will stop cultivating so that we can enter, Mo Tianji said. Heavenly Concubine, have you really decided? This is risky, and I don't want you to take this risk. Mo Yutian looked at Mo Tianji, his deep eyes filled with worry. I have decided. The reincarnation battlefield was the place where the 100 races, led by our Demon Wing clan and the human race, fought for supremacy in the previous reincarnation cycle. This time, it is also a small-scale battle for Providence. The demon ancestor was severely injured and fell into a deep sleep after coming back. His weapon is related to the Demon Wing clan's Providence. Mo Tianji was very determined. Zhang Tian will come out of seclusion soon. Discuss this with him. Mo Yutian said and left. The 3 giants of the Demon Wing clan were Mo Tianji, Mo Yutian, and Mo Zhangtian. However, not many people in the Demon Wing clan knew of Mo Zhangtian's existence. He had been cultivating in seclusion. Mo Tianji had fused most of the pure silver woman's body with her. Her cultivation had increased to the 6 stars Emperor realm, which was the peak of the Imperial Emperor realm. Although she was only at the peak of the Imperial Emperor realm, Mo Tianji was confident that she could kill an Imperial Emperor realm expert. Translator, Nyoibo Studio Editor. Nyoibo Studio. Mo Tianji stopped cultivating. Once she reached the Imperial Emperor realm, she wouldn't have the chance to enter the reincarnation battlefield. Every day, other than cultivating new absolute arts, Knight Sorrow would watch the soldiers of the First Army cultivate. If there were any areas where they were lacking, Knight Sorrow would give them pointers. After cultivating so many absolute arts, Knight Sorrow had a deep understanding of the combination of attributes. Hence, he had no problem giving pointers to others. Time passed in a tense atmosphere. Knight Sorrow was now full of confidence. He had a new harvest. When he comprehended the death attribute, he found an opportunity to break through in the destruction attribute. He entered the 5 stars Emperor realm and reached the intermediate Imperial Emperor realm. Knight Sorrow's highest achievement was the space-time attribute. He had grasped 57% of the grand momentum of heaven and earth. He was only 30% away from entering the 6 stars Emperor realm. Although this 30% seemed easy, it required time. Knight Sorrow didn't have the time now because he was in a hurry. He didn't have the time to calm down and cultivate. On this night Sorrow went to the city walls of the desolate Sky City. He looked at the Nirvana Ocean and the Nirvana Storm in a daze. What are you thinking about? You are already an Imperial Emperor's subordinate. How can you be so absent-minded? King Yawu appeared beside Knight Sorrow. Martial uncle, why are you here? Knight Sorrow asked in surprise. King Yawu usually didn't leave Yawu Mountain. I came over to take a look. Your spirit is good. King Yawu looked at Knight Sorrow and said, I'm sorry to have worried you. I'm doing well. I improved my cultivation in the desolate sky space. However, I didn't enter the advanced Imperial Emperor realm. Knight Sorrow said, you have cultivated for too short a time. If you were given 10,000 years, or even 1,000 years, your achievements would reach a new height. Throughout the celestial realm, countless cultivators don't lack time. What they lack is inspiration. However, you are the opposite. King Yawu said with some emotion. King Yawu told Yi Shang that he had talked with the city master of Tianhuang City and the great patriarch. The three of them had thought about whether they should ask Yi Shang to put everything aside for the time being, including the reincarnation battlefield, and focus on improving his cultivation. However, in the end they felt that this was all fate. Since it happened, it was destined. King Yawu came to ask for Knight Sorrow's opinion. After all, King Yawu was the closest to Knight Sorrow. Martial uncle, I know that this idea is to protect me. However, since the brothers of the First Army are entering, I have no reason to not enter. Furthermore, I am confident. Knight Sorrow said. It's very helpless. Under such circumstances, the three of us are powerless. We can only rely on cultivators below the Imperial Emperor realm in the reincarnation battlefield. Remember, be careful. Otherwise, I won't be able to answer to your master. When you depart, I won't be sending you off. King Yawu patted Knight Sorrow's shoulder and turned to leave. Chapter 1867. Martial uncle is waiting for you at Yawu Mountain to make tea for him. King Yawu stopped but didn't look back. After saying that, he flashed away. It was just a simple sentence, but Knight Sorrow felt King Yawu's care and love. After standing on the city wall for a while, Knight Sorrow returned to his mansion. Knight Sorrow saw the Grand Elder in the mansion. After greeting him, Knight Sorrow made a pot of tea. King Yawu has seen you. You should have made your decision, the Grand Elder said. Knight Sorrow has decided to go. Grand Elder, don't worry too much. Besides, doesn't the City Lord know the Great Prophecy spell? He should know about the situation on the reincarnation battlefield, right? Knight Sorrow took a sip of tea and said, You know the City Lord knows the Great Prophecy spell? King Yawu must have told you, the Grand Elder said. Because the City Lord knew the Great Prophecy spell, not many people knew about it. It's not true. It's not true. In the ethereal Imperial City, Knight Sorrow met the creator of the Divine and Demon list, Tran Hung, and Tran Hung told Knight Sorrow said, Tran hung. You really know a lot of important people. But let me tell you, the City Lord's great prophecy spell won't work this time because there are too many disturbances on the reincarnation battlefield, including the mysterious power of fate. So you can choose not to go now. The Grand Elder looked at Knight Sorrow and gave him another choice. Grand Elder, I've decided to go, not because of the City Lord's great prophecy spell. Even if I know the future is dangerous, I'm not afraid. I have the courage to declare war against fate. Knight Sorrow's eyes lit up. The Grand Elder didn't say anything. He laughed and walked out. Knight Sorrow had this belief. He had nothing to ask and nothing to worry about. Knight Sorrow slammed the table. He was not afraid of anything. So what if the demon-winged clan, the Black Dragons, and the Flying Serpents advanced? Among the cultivators who entered, the highest cultivation level was an Imperial Emperor. Facing an Imperial Emperor, Knight Sorrow was not afraid at all. He believed that he could fight any Imperial Emperor. As for the troops behind him, Knight Sorrow was also confident that the sergeants of the First Army, who had undergone intensive training, were not worse than any other troops. The various forces were waiting for the reincarnation battlefield to appear officially. Everyone estimated the time, but no one could say for sure. Knight Sorrow hoped that he could delay it and buy himself some time. If the death attribute was cultivated to the Overlord level, then after the realm fusion, it would be a level 5 realm. He was looking forward to the realm of 2 supreme attributes controlling 3 advanced attributes. At that time, it would be a level 6 realm, because Knight Sorrow had the power of merit. In the past, Knight Sorrow's realm was very powerful with the power of merit. After receiving the power of the human Tao ceremonies Tao Te Ching, it was even more powerful than before. On this day, when Knight Sorrow was teaching the other sergeants in the First Army, the Grand Elder and the 7 clan elders arrived at the encampment. Seems like there's a result. Knight Sorrow looked at the 2 of them. Yes, it's confirmed. In half a month, we can open the space tunnel and enter. The Grand Elder nodded. Knight Sorrow nodded. He knew that this day was not too far away, but it still came quickly. Inform the 30 selected people to gather their original bodies and avatars. The Grand Elder said. After the original body and avatar fuse, it will only be considered the pressure of one person. The more people that enter, the stronger your strength will be. This time, it's very dangerous. If both the original body and avatar die. Lu Qi did not continue, but Knight Sorrow understood that if both the original body and avatar died, then they would truly disappear from the world. Okay, let me know when the time comes. Knight Sorrow nodded. The reality was somewhat different from his estimation. Originally, Knight Sorrow had decided to go with his original body and avatar, but he wanted the others to stay behind. When he returned to the residence, Knight Sorrow received a piece of good news. The Sikong Chuyu had entered the King Realm, and his lifespan was endless. Knight Sorrow was truly happy. The King Realm represented the transcendence of the world's restrictions on lifespan. Of course, nothing was set in stone. Emperors had to endure Emperor's tribulation and Emperor's tribulation. These were things that the rank 8 king did not understand. 6th senior sister, 9th senior sister. How much longer do you need? Knight Sorrow asked Aoi and Yang Lei. Knight Sorrow had several wives. Xueshi had arrived at the King Realm a few years ago because her foundation was deeper than the Sikong Chuyu, Aoi, and Yang Lei. We've been Saint Kings for a while. Are you afraid that we can't reach the King Realm? Our age is just the beginning in the eyes of other cultivators, right? Yang Lei said with a smile. That's true. There's really nothing to worry about. Knight Sorrow smiled. Aoi and Yang Lei's aptitudes weren't bad. Knight Sorrow had also given them Yun spirit pills. Reaching the King Realm wasn't difficult. Knight Sorrow, you might not know. You're the Merit Emperor. We're your family. Unknowingly, we've been blessed by the heavens. Some problems can be solved. Lin Piaomiao said. Knight Sorrow's heart was at ease. Knight Sorrow wasn't worried about his children. Because of their bloodline, his children were extremely talented. He didn't have to worry about their cultivation prospects. He had always been worried about his mother and wife. But after thinking about it, he felt that there was enough time. They were already a few hundred years old. They were still far away from the 10,000-year lifespan limit of the King Realm. Night Sorrow didn't tell Sikong Chuyu and the others that he was going to enter the reincarnation battlefield. He didn't want his family to worry. Night Sorrow didn't say anything, so Lin Piaomiao didn't say anything either. After sending off his wives, Night Sorrow nodded to Lin Piaomiao. Thank you for hiding it for me. I know you don't want others to worry, so I can only support you. Lin Piaomiao looked at Night Sorrow and said. Night Sorrow held Lin Piaomiao's hand. He didn't say anything. Everything was understood without words. How's your death attribute cultivation going? We don't know if you've been staying in the Yellow Spring River. Lin Piaomiao said. During this period of time, Night Sorrow's original body had been staying in the Yellow Spring River to cultivate. Even Lin Piaomiao and Dachura who came with him didn't know about it. I've passed the perfect will. I'm trying to comprehend the force of heaven and earth. I'm at the half-step Emperor realm. There's still half a month's time. Maybe I'll have a chance to reach the Emperor realm. But I don't have enough time to fuse my domain. Night Sorrow told Lin Piaomiao about his situation. You don't have to fight immediately after entering the reincarnation battlefield. You have time to fuse. You just have to cultivate your death attribute to the Emperor realm in the Yellow Spring River. Lin Piaomiao said. Night Sorrow was looking forward to it. He had 5 times the time acceleration. Half a month's time meant that he could cultivate for 3 months. The original body and doppelgangers of the First Army had already gathered. Even if they had to face the danger of dying, no one was afraid. Night Sorrow was indeed a little anxious. He wanted to enter the reincarnation battlefield as soon as it appeared. Chapter 1868. On the 13th day, which was 2 days before they set off for the Samsara battlefield, and even before Night Sorrow ended his cultivation, he made some progress in his death attribute cultivation. He had reached the Emperor level. Night Sorrow didn't have any plans to cultivate the death attribute to a very high level. He just needed to reach the Emperor rank and have a domain before he could perfectly merge it with his main domain. After leaving the Yellow Springs River and landing on the shore, Night Sorrow felt very relaxed. He had been under pressure in the Yellow Springs River. With the addition of the force of heaven and earth, Night Sorrow felt that the world was clearer in his eyes. When Night Sorrow came out of seclusion, Lin Piaomiao came out of the Linglong Pagoda. Did you succeed? Lin Piaomiao asked. This time is really timely. We have to leave the day after tomorrow. Today, I have comprehended 10% of the force of heaven and earth. I am already the Emperor of the death attribute. Night Sorrow said. At this moment, he was very excited. After the domain merged, his strength would increase by leaps and bounds. B6 After talking with Lin Piaomiao for a while, Night Sorrow didn't disturb Dachura who was cultivating and left. At this time, Dachura didn't come out. That meant that he was in a state of enlightenment and couldn't stop. After returning to the First Territory's encampment, Night Sorrow entered the Haotian God Pagoda. His doppelganger kept the Haotian God Pagoda in his divine sea. This way he could accelerate time and study the domain. Night Sorrow practiced his spear arts for a while. Long Jin and Tianyu came back. Where did you guys go? We have to leave the day after tomorrow at the latest. Night Sorrow kept the Blood Qilin evil-slaying spear and said, We went to stock up. We don't know what kind of place the reincarnation battlefield is. We prepared some good wine and meat. We can't let ourselves suffer, right? Tianyu said. You too, one is the golden dragon and the other is the green rock. Both of you are gluttons. Have you prepared enough? Night Sorrow asked with a smile. Haha. The two of us felt that the heavenly desolate city was not good enough, so we went to the divine capital to solve the problem. 13. Do you think it's enough? Tianyu said with a smile. When have I ever been worried about the two of you? If it weren't for you guys, I would have gone to clean up the place as well, Night Sorrow said. Brothers, I'm so happy to be together. This time, we're going to turn the reincarnation battlefield into our territory. Black dragons. Let's see if they dare to fight me. Do you still recognize the golden scales on my body? If they really dare to rebel, then in the future, there will be nothing left to say. My big uncle, don't stop me. I'll catch them and torture them to death, said Long Jin. Don't worry. No matter who you want to fight, and no matter if you have a reason or not, we will always be by your side. Night Sorrow nodded at Long Jin. Yes, that's the feeling. Tianyu, what do you mean? Why don't you dare to say anything? Long Jin reached out and bumped Night Sorrow's hand, then looked at Tianyu. You don't make sense. Do I, Tianyu, look like someone who's afraid of trouble? Long Jin, we'll deal with whoever you don't like. Tianyu said. You said that, but why didn't you tell me that you were bullied by that Heaven's Cliffs? Long Jin looked at Tianyu and brought up another topic. You're being unreasonable. When I came out of the Green Rock race, the first person I saw was 13, and then you. Besides, we were about the same. If I was beaten up, would I drag you down with me? Tianyu explained. Strength is another matter. We can drink together, but can't we take a beating together? I've never tried being beaten together, but it's definitely better than being beaten up alone. Take these words to heart. Don't make me unhappy because of this, Long Jin said to Tianyu. I understand. In the future, no matter if it's good or bad, I'll definitely drag you down with me. Tianyu reached out his hand. Long Jin smiled and also reached out his hand to bump Tianyu's. Night Sorrow then asked Tianyu and Long Jin if they needed his help with the weapons and armor. After asking, Night Sorrow gave the two a thumbs up, then turned and left. Why? Because their parents had already arranged for them. They were all high-grade goods, treasures that Night Sorrow couldn't make. Night Sorrow could also understand. The Golden Dragon race and the Green Rock race were both mythical beast races with the longest inheritance. The celestial realm might have existed before them, or even before the human race. How could such a race not have a deep heritage? As the most direct descendants of the two races, Long Jin and Tianyu naturally received the strongest support. Night Sorrow entered the mansion and found a table full of food and wine. Sister Xian Er, did you make this? I don't think I've seen you cook alone before. Night Sorrow said as he took the towel that Lin Piaomiao handed over. I haven't done it before, but I'm not stupid. I've helped Chu Yu and the others and watched them do it. How could I not learn? Lin Piaomiao said. Very good. Night Sorrow sat down. The two drank a small cup of wine. Then, Lin Piaomiao emphasized to Night Sorrow the things to take note of when entering the reincarnation battlefield. Lin Piaomiao said the worst-case scenario. She wanted Night Sorrow to bring the people and find a safe place. She even said that they should hide in a space treasure and wait for the reincarnation battlefield to appear before leaving. Don't worry. After all these years of training, my experience is not bad. I was exiled in Tianhuang for 8 years. Who can do anything to me? You have to trust your man. Night Sorrow said with a smile. The next day, Night Sorrow went to the martial arts practice field of the first station and gathered the 30 people who were going to fight. Tomorrow is the day of departure. This is the first time that I, Night Sorrow, will take you to the battlefield. The situation of the reincarnation battlefield is unknown. I can't guarantee that I can bring all of you back. But what I can do is to stay by your side. Night Sorrow said. Captain, you worry too much. As sergeants of the First Army, we have the consciousness to shed blood for glory. Zhuodong said. Then I'll talk about it. When you enter the reincarnation battlefield, the first rule is to obey orders and not question them. The second rule is that I hope everyone can come back alive. I'll give you half a day to make the final preparations. Yi Sorrow waved his hand and dismissed everyone. Lu Qi entered the martial arts practice field. I wanted to remind you, but it seems that I don't need to. Are you sure we'll set off tomorrow? Night Sorrow asked. Yes. Tomorrow at noon, the Patriarch will use the Heaven Wasteland Pagoda to open the space-time tunnel. You'll be in there for about 2 years. 1 year later, the reincarnation battlefield will appear in Nirvana Ocean. 2 years later, it will be closer to the Nirvana Ocean Bridge. Emperor should be able to travel back. Lu Qi told Night Sorrow the time limit. Understood. Night Sorrow nodded. To you, this is a small matter. Back then, when I exiled you to Heavenly Wasteland for 8 years, didn't you live a carefree life and come back alive and kicking? Lu Qi smiled at Yi Shan. Chapter 1869. Didn't he come back alive and well? Lu Qi emphasized the words, alive, again. After stopping Night Sorrow, he turned and left. Night Sorrow had already made the arrangements, so there was nothing for him to do. There was no need to urge him. Night Sorrow wanted to say something, but Lu Qi had already left. Helplessly shaking his head, Night Sorrow didn't have anything to say. Lu Qi was still very good to him. Night Sorrow remembered something. In a few months, Wu Lingfei would ascend to the throne of the Ice Phoenix race. He had to enter the reincarnation battlefield, so he couldn't make it in time. This made Night Sorrow feel bad. After thinking for a while, Night Sorrow returned to the mansion to find Pu Luo. Pu Luo, do me a favor. Night Sorrow looked at Pu Luo and said, "Between us, you're talking about helping. It's meaningless." Pu Luo glanced at Night Sorrow. "After I made my debut, the person who helped me the most was Wu Lingfei, who is about to ascend to the throne of the Ice Phoenix race. I call her Aunt Fei. In half a year, she will ascend to the throne. I promised to attend the ceremony, but because I have to go to the reincarnation battlefield, I won't have time. So I want to make a gift." Night Sorrow said, "Well, I understand. What do you want me to do?" Pu Luo asked, "Give me some of the materials you used to make the human emperor's gold brick. I will make a weapon, then inject the human emperor's power into it and give it to her. This way, when she fights in the future, Aunt Fei won't hurt her own merit and destiny." Night Sorrow said, "About that. No problem, I will help you." Pu Luo said and disappeared. He had entered the space treasure. Night Sorrow was stunned. Pu Luo didn't ask him what he wanted to make and ran away. However, Night Sorrow felt that no matter what he made, as long as it was a gift from him, Wu Lingfei would like it. Today, several people from the Humanitarian League were at Night Sorrow's mansion. They knew that Night Sorrow would depart tomorrow. The princess of the Ice Phoenix race, the future king. If you respect Night Sorrow so much, then you are destined to be a member of our Humanitarian League. The Great Demon King said. I don't think Auntie Fei will mind, but thank you all for your acceptance. Night Sorrow cupped his hands towards everyone. Night Sorrow, let's not mention that you are my junior brother. Your style of doing things is recognized by everyone, and we will not reject the people you approve of. Because their morals are bad, they will not be able to obtain your approval. Fan Tian said with a smile. In less than an hour, Pu Luo came out with a golden brick of human Tao. Haha, you can shoot whoever you want. Pu Luo threw the gold brick to Night Sorrow. Night Sorrow took out the human emperor's seal and inserted the power of virtue. He wanted to inject some human emperor's power into the human Tao gold brick. This time it was different from before. Night Sorrow's body and the human emperor's seal were filled with the words of the human emperor's ceremony and the book of Tao. Soon, Night Sorrow completed the enhancement of the human Tao gold brick and handed it to Lin Piaomiao. He couldn't go, so it was more suitable for Lin Piaomiao to go on his behalf. I say, why is the enhancement different this time? Pu Luo looked at Night Sorrow with his eyes wide open. I obtained some opportunities in Tianhuang. I obtained the human emperor ceremony and the book of Tao that was lost by the human race. Night Sorrow said with a smile. You are too unkind. Not only did you obtain such a great reward, you also didn't enhance our gold brick? The Great Demon King looked at Night Sorrow with dissatisfaction. I didn't know the enhancement effect would increase. Plus, you didn't ask me what I obtained, Night Sorrow said with a smile. Then stop wasting time. Enhance our gold brick again. The Great Demon King took out his human Tao gold brick and placed it in front of Night Sorrow. Yuzhu, Ruisi, and Pu Luo didn't stand on ceremony and took out their gold bricks. Night Sorrow could only buff everyone's human Tao gold bricks once more. When you go to the reincarnation battlefield, don't worry and kill. No one will dare to provoke the Humanitarian League. Don't worry about the first territory. If anyone dares to cause trouble when you are not around, I will take care of it. Let's see who dares to not give me face, the Great Demon King said to Night Sorrow. Also, regarding the coronation of the Ice Phoenix Princess, the Humanitarian League will send a congratulatory gift. We must give face. Pu Luo also assured Night Sorrow. Night Sorrow cupped his hands and didn't say anything. There was no need for him to say anything. They had already taken care of everything he was worried about. Let's go. The Twilight Tea House is the most beautiful place on a night like this, Yuzhu suggested. Let's go. I love tea, so I won't pay for it. The Great Demon King stood up and muttered a despicable sentence. After drinking tea and resting at the Night Moon Villa, Knight Sorrow returned to the encampment of the first territory of the Heavenly Wasteland City and gathered 30 people, including himself. I'm so excited. Ever since you left us behind after entering the Imperial Realm, we have missed fighting together. Today, the feeling is back, Tianyu said excitedly. Are you not afraid? Zhuodong looked at Tianyu and asked. You don't understand. I'm excited. Back in the days, I followed Brother 13 and a group of brothers and ran amok in our realm. We killed and set fires. It was so comfortable. Tianyu patted his chest and said, Killed and set fires. Did you rob anyone? Bai Lingling asked. Originally, Bai Lingling didn't like Knight Sorrow because she was born in the noble nine-tailed fox clan. However, everything changed after she came to the first territory. Knight Sorrow had a character that she respected. After joining the team, they often talked and laughed. Now that there was a chance, Bai Lingling naturally wanted to bully Tianyu. Tianyu, if you don't explain clearly, our captain's reputation will be ruined. Flower Without Words also said. He had been bullied by Tianyu many times because he didn't know anything about formations. Tianyu had scolded him many times when he was practicing the combined attack formation. He had even been hit on the head by Tianyu. It was a slip of the tongue. It was really a slip of the tongue. Killing and setting fires are tactical arrangements. We have never robbed anyone before. Needless to say, when our captain was an Imperial Realm expert, he fought with Donghao Mountain, a force with 2 Imperial Emperors in the Ethereal Dynasty. The mayor's mansion wasn't burned? The mayor wasn't killed? Therefore, it's reasonable to kill and set fires, Tianyu quickly explained. An Imperial Realm expert fought with a force with 2 Imperial Emperors? Zhuodong and the others were stunned. Tianyu, you're exaggerating. I'm not as strong as them, so I can only rely on tactics. I'll leave after the fight and fight in another place. Fortunately, the result is ideal. They're convinced, Knight Sorrow said with a smile. Tianyu, if you have time, set up a stool. We'll serve you with good tea and wine. Tell us, Bai Lingling said. You don't feel any pressure at all. Very good. Let's go and meet in front of the Everlasting Tower. The Grand Elder appeared. Yi Shang led the group to the front of the Heaven Wasteland Tower and saw the City Lord of Heaven Wasteland surrounded by energy. However, Knight Sorrow felt different this time. After becoming the Imperial Realm expert of the Death Element, he could see the essence of the world clearly. Looking at Section IXR of HX Chapter 1 Unspecified Currency P. Knight Sorrow was shocked when he saw the mayor. He was sure that Tran Hung, who wrote the Celestial Demon List, was the mayor. Chapter 1870. Counting the time, minute by minute, second by second. When we entered August, we were all hoping that the Devil Fruits data wouldn't change. Yes, this was a battle of honor. Maybe at the start, we thought that as long as we worked hard, even if we lost, it would be an honorable defeat. But I had to say that everyone who liked Myriad Daos, including me, hoped that we could win in the end. We counted the time together and hoped for the results we wanted. At such moments, our heartbeats quickened and our blood surged. It was as if our bloodline was about to awaken. The results were exciting. A month of hard work, a month of hard work. It was worth it. Translator, Endless Fantasy Translation Editor. Endless Fantasy Translation Special thanks to Chen 9857, UK 45, Punishment Demon King, Plowlands, Myriad Daos, Sha Chong Tian, Rainy Night Zhuiying, Ming Ming, Yi Shi, Zhang Zi 1, Xinjian Qing, Faith Square Root. Fatty Yen, Call Me Brother Fei, OU is Porridge, Meng Meng, Evil One Ming, Cockroach, Residual Fragrance, Zombie, Meat, Fatty Yen, I am Yun Yun and other brothers and sisters. I have been writing for many years and for half a year, I thought of giving up on writing. So when I started my new book, Myriad Daos Road to Godhood, there were only a few old brothers by my side. They asked me why I didn't tell my old brothers. I said, let's wait for Myriad Daos Road to Godhood to have results. But now, a year has passed and my brothers have followed me from the start of Myriad Daos to now and we have the results that we wanted. Many old fans have followed Cool Craftsman and returned to my side. It wasn't easy. Recently, due to the event, the book review wasn't peaceful. Harmony was very important and competition was indispensable in the event. Competition was competition. It wasn't easy for writers. They had to lay on the keyboard every day, typing word by word. If they were satisfied, it was fine. If they weren't, they would be scolded. That kind of feeling was indescribable. We are all the same, working hard for our own dreams. Everyone, please be more understanding. As for the suggestions that fans said to ignore, the author was lying to himself. From the start, a book was filled with blood, sweat and tears. It was like one's own child. Who wouldn't care about the reviews? Actually, Shizi was very happy about the competition this time, but he also felt a little guilty. He was happy that everyone's hard work and we got the honor that belonged to Myriad Das Road. He felt guilty for making everyone spend so much money. To be honest, Mr. Breakfast in the group used the money from breakfast to support Shizi. I think there will be a lot of similar situations. Many of my brothers are students, and they are not well off. Some people say that our Myriad Das has godly tycoons and nouveau riches, but whose money isn't earned through hard work? Speaking from the bottom of his heart, Shizi wasn't willing to earn some money because it would hurt his brothers. Brothers were the most precious wealth in a lifetime. With you guys around, we can do anything. When he typed this sentence, Shizi was deeply moved in his heart. Some people might say that Shizi is a hypocrite, but those who read my books will be able to see Shizi's character from the books. Men were indomitable, upright, and upright. They were whatever they had. Reading books is my duty, and support is a favor. Shizi will remember your support in my heart. July was a month when Shizi dragged everyone down. Everyone was working very hard. In August, Shizi did his best to repay them. He bowed to express his gratitude. Chapter 1871. Knight Sorrow was taken aback. He had failed to take down the dragon-headed dragon after fighting for a long time. "Captain, he's dead," White Meng Meng said. "This kind of demonic beast is good at close combat and has great strength. But its sole defense is its weakness," Knight Sorrow said. "The Emperor is not that good," Tiger Cold said as he kicked the dragon-headed man's body. "Not that good. You can try next time." Tianyu glanced at Tiger Cold. "I'll pass." Tiger Cold shook his head. Knight Sorrow shook his head as he looked at the dragon-headed man's body. He didn't know what race it was. Then he asked the others, but no one could tell what kind of demonic beast it was or what race it was. Long Jean stepped forward to check it. Then he looked at Knight Sorrow and said, "Captain, it seems to have the bloodline of dragons." "Black dragons." "It shouldn't be." Knight Sorrow rubbed his head. The reincarnation battlefield had sunk into the Nirvana ocean at the beginning of this reincarnation, so it shouldn't have anything to do with the black dragons. It definitely has the bloodline of black dragons, but it's not pure enough. Long Jean checked it again and said with certainty, "Then take it back and let the Castellan and the Grand Elder identify it. Zhuadong, collect the materials." Knight Sorrow shouted at Zhuadong. Zhuadong was stunned. "Captain, the resources in the First Territory are managed by the warehouse and registration. It's not appropriate for me to collect the spoils." "Then you'll be the manager. Someone just needs to register and record the corpse." Knight Sorrow put away the dragon-headed man's body. Then Bai Lingling and the first scout named Zhong Jiu set off again and began to investigate. Knight Sorrow followed behind them with his men. Zhong Jiu reported the situation to Bai Lingling. Bai Lingling drew a map and edited the mountains and rivers as they moved forward. "Leader, help me. Another dragon-headed person is attacking me. This one has wings." Bai Lingling, who had just recorded the information and put away the map, said to Knight Sorrow anxiously. Knight Sorrow said to Bai Lingling's true body, "His soul defense is weak. Have your clone use a soul attack first and bring me there." "I tried, but it didn't work. My soul illusion attack was blocked by his soul defense. His speed is also relatively fast. I can't take it." Bai Lingling was a little anxious. Knight Sorrow didn't say anything. Bai Lingling's true body flew and quickly met up with her clone. A dragon-headed person was chasing after Bai Lingling's clone. "Soul defense is different? Let's try again." Knight Sorrow raised his left hand and sent out a desolate nirvana palm. A giant energy hand appeared and blocked the dragon-headed person's pursuit of Bai Lingling. Then, it slapped towards the dragon head. Knight Sorrow then used the soul-extinguishing slash. The soul-extinguishing slash had a crescent blade with a purple glow. It sliced through space and cut through the head of the dragon-headed person that was chasing after Bai Lingling's clone. With the influence and control of the desolate Nirvana palm, the dragon-headed person couldn't dodge Night Sorrow's soul attack. The defensive halo around its head was cut open and the crescent blade of the soul-extinguishing slash cut through its head. Just like the first dragon-headed person that Night Sorrow had killed, its divine sea was shattered by Night Sorrow. When they reached the dragon-headed person's corpse, Night Sorrow checked and confirmed that it was really dead. A palm strike and a soul attack, and this emperor-rank dragon-headed person is dead? Zhuodong, who had just arrived with his men, was shocked. Night Sorrow was too strong. Long Jin, check again. Night Sorrow said to Long Jin. Shame. This is the offspring of a black dragon and another race. Long Jin nodded at Night Sorrow. Dragons were arrogant and almost never married other races. Night Sorrow looked at Long Jin and didn't say anything else. He told Zhuodong to take back the weapon and put the dragon-headed person's corpse into his storage ring. Captain, if your soul attack can kill it, why can't mine? Bai Lingling still didn't understand. One's addition, your soul attack and my soul attack are different in nature. Your soul attack is more of an illusion and mainly has negative effects. It is used to support the real attack. My soul attack mainly attacks the soul and divine sea. The dragon-headed person's soul defense is used to counteract the negative effects on the soul, which is perfect for your illusion attack. After thinking for a while, Night Sorrow understood the theory. Then, Bai Lingling explained it to the others. Aren't you bullying me? Bai Lingling said unhappily. The question is, are you even human? Flower Without Words said. You idiot. How dare you insult me? Bai Lingling stared at Flower Without Words angrily. Flower Without Words took a step back because Bai Lingling would go berserk and bite people easily. Then, the group continued to move forward and Bai Lingling continued to draw the map. Bai Lingling, your skills are good. You can draw a map and set up a stall. You won't have to worry about making a living. Night Sorrow said with a smile. Humph. A good map. Then I'll sell it to Captain for 10,000 Saint Spirit Stones after I draw it. Bai Lingling looked at Night Sorrow with disdain. Okay. When you become a peerless master one day, the value of this map will be great. Night Sorrow said. Sister Lingling, you only asked for 10,000. I overheard Elder Zhejian talking to an elder of the 100 Races Elder Association. The elder of the human race said that night, our captain stole tens of millions of Saint Spirit Stones from the demon-winged clan. You asked for 10,000. What a loss. Bai Mengmeng said. I'm not selling it. Bai Lingling changed her mind. If a man dares to change his mind, I'll despise him. As for a woman, forget it. I'll bear with it. Night Sorrow said with a smile. 10,000 Saint Spirit Stones for a map is a sky-high price. If you don't want to sell it, you won't be able to sell it even for 1,000 Saint Spirit Stones. Zhuodong said. Even if I can't sell it, I won't sell it at a low price. Is that okay? Bai Lingling said. Zhuodong and the others laughed. The atmosphere was no longer tense. Then, they continued to move forward. Night Sorrow sent Bai Lingling and Zhongjiu to explore. Captain, if you go to explore, you'll be clearing the path. Bai Mengmeng asked. It's not that I'm lazy. My original body can't fight. It's still comprehending something, which has a great impact on my combat strength. In order to better solve some dangerous situations, I want to improve my strength as soon as possible. As for my doppelganger, it's better to stay with the others. Night Sorrow said. Captain, I'm just kidding. Just take it as a joke. Bai Mengmeng was stunned by Night Sorrow's formal explanation. Let's continue to move forward. Be careful. If you see any small beasts, catch them. Let's camp at night. We must have good wine and meat. Night Sorrow changed the topic. The team moved forward, but Night Sorrow and Long Jin were at the back. They had something to talk about. Long Jin confirmed that the dragon-headed man had the bloodline of the black dragons. After killing the second dragon-headed man, Night Sorrow confirmed that the dragon-headed man had the bloodline of the demon-winged clan. Chapter 1872. Captain, their speed is the demon-winged race's innate talent. Their strength might be due to the black dragon's bloodline, said Long Jin. But the problem is, Be it the black dragons or the demon winged race, their sole defense shouldn't be this weak, right? Knight Sorrow voiced his confusion. These bastards haven't fully evolved, so they have flaws. Also, not every cultivator has a soul attack absolute art. If they met you, they would be countered, but if they met other cultivators, their advantage would still be very obvious. Longjin shared his opinion. The demon winged race and the black dragons can combine? Could there be a black dragon that can transform into a human? Knight Sorrow slapped his forehead. We haven't been alive for long, so there are some things we don't understand. Perhaps we'll find out after we go back and talk to the elders and my uncle. Longjin couldn't figure it out either. The dragon-headed men were very violent. As long as they met, they would attack the scouts. However, there weren't many high-rank ones. When they set up camp at night, Knight Sorrow killed 3 Emperor-rank dragon-headed men. The Emperor-rank dragon-headed men didn't need to be killed by Knight Sorrow. They were given to the soldiers of the First Army to practice their joint attack formation. Reality proved that only Knight Sorrow had an easier time killing them. The others had a harder time killing them. After setting up camp, Tianyu started working. He caught a huge python and naturally roasted it. Everyone ate and drank. After a day of fighting, no one felt any pressure. This kind of training is very enjoyable. There's no pressure, it's all excitement, said Wuxia. Take your time to feel it. Follow my 13th brother and you'll eat and drink well, said Tianyu. After eating and drinking, the group began to meditate and rest. A bunch of idiots, still meditating in the night wind, Tianyu took out a tent and set it up. This made the soldiers of the First Army who were sitting around the fire stare blankly because they had never experienced this before. Longjin also took out a tent and set it up. Don't look at people like that. You're the ones who don't have any ideas. You're the foolish ones. Leader, take a look. These two are in the wrong. When we came here, we said that we would live and die together. Since we are going to live and die together, we will naturally share our blessings and hardships together. What are they doing? White Meng Meng said. All right, Tianyu, give your tent to the woman. You can squeeze with Longjin. Knight Sorrow shouted at Tianyu. After glaring at by Lingling and White Meng Meng, Tianyu could only move to Longjin's tent. Brothers, are you stupid? Who would want to enjoy the wind when there's a comfortable place? Wuxia shouted. He ignored Longjin and went straight into the tent. With Wuxia taking the lead, the others began to enter as well. They all ran into Longjin's tent. Even though Longjin's tent was big enough, it was still very crowded. Wuxia, you're on duty tonight. Stop patrolling, Knight Sorrow shouted at the tent. Wuxia curled his lips and left the tent. Patrolling was a must. After the arrangements were made, Knight Sorrow boiled a pot of water, took out a tea table, and brewed some tea. Then, he set up his tent and moved the tea table into the tent. Animal! This was by Lingling's comment when she saw the situation outside the tent. Knight Sorrow's tent was too big. White Meng Meng didn't comment and directly entered Knight Sorrow's tent. Why did you enter my tent? Knight Sorrow glanced at White Meng Meng and by Lingling, who came in after her. Drink tea. White Meng Meng took out a praying mat and sat at the tea table. White Meng Meng's answer was very righteous. Yi Shang thought for a while and didn't know how to answer. He could only nod. At this moment, a group of male soldiers who were fighting for territory in the tent noticed the commotion. Our leader's tent is the best. It's made of caltrop leather, and it's impervious to heat and cold. Flower Without Words said. You guys don't want to admit it. Longjin and I learned how to play in the tent from Captain, Tianyu said. When a group of people rushed into Yi Shang's tent, Yi Shang made a decision. In the future, when he was with the sergeants of the First Army, he would no longer make tea. Wuxia poked Wudong and said, Look at the captain's eyes. Tea tasting. Do you know anything about tea tasting? What about drinking water? Or do you drink? Yi Shang was so angry that the teapot was empty and still in Wudong's hand. No one made a sound. At this time, whoever made a sound would be waiting to be dealt with. We are all boorish people. We don't know how to do that. Chong Jiu said after an awkward silence. It seems that just teaching you fighting skills isn't enough. When we get back later, I'll take you to the tea tasting area to have a look. Otherwise, you won't be presentable, Knight Sorrow said. Translator, Endless Fantasy Translation Editor. Endless Fantasy Translation, no one told us that before. Zhuodong said innocently. Well, you may not know that Captain Tang Ke and Elder Qiu have met me before. They hope that you can live a good life. Being a sergeant is for glory and for the stability of the celestial realm. But one day, you will have to leave and live a stable life, Night Sorrow said. Zhuodong and the others were silent. Night Sorrow's words made them feel emotional. I'm sorry for talking too much and making you unhappy. Well, I won't blame you for drinking my tea today, Night Sorrow said with a smile. Zhuodong and the others smiled. They knew that the First Army had once again welcomed a reliable and considerate captain. Captain, are we here to kill? What's the task? Bai Lingling asked. I forgot to tell everyone. We need to find a large mountain. That's where the human emperor and the demon-winged clan's demon ancestor fought. We need to find a weapon and the remains of the human emperor, said Yishang. We need to find a mountain. That's where the human emperor fought with the demon-winged clan's demon ancestor. Are you sure that the skeleton is still in the Samsara battlefield? Zhuodong asked. Yes, the weapon is called the Infinite Halberd, or the Great Halberd of the Primitive Halberd. In the last Samsara, the Infinite Halberd was called the Primitive Halberd. The Infinite Halberd is the most precious treasure of the Demon Wing clan. The skeleton of the human emperor is a great honor for the human clan and the 100 clans. We must take it back, Night Sorrow said. Let's bring a fortune teller with us. It'll be much easier for us to do a divination, Qi Zhang, a captain of the First Army, said. The governor and the Grand Elder must have thought of the same thing. The Samsara battlefield is full of the power of destiny. Divination is ineffective, Night Sorrow said with a smile. Qi Zhang, let's fight. We're not smart enough, Zhuodong patted Qi Zhang's shoulder and said. At this time, Mo Tianji arrived in another area of the Samsara battlefield with a team of people. This time, Mo Tianji came not only for the Infinite Halberd but also for Jun Xuanji. The Samsara battlefield was moving. When it was officially born, she would have a chance to enter the celestial realm through the blockade of the Infinite Halberd and find Jun Xuanji. Chapter 1873. Mo Tianji was now an imperial emperor, but she was confident that she could defeat any imperial emperor. She wasn't even afraid of an imperial emperor. She was one of the 3 great heavens of the Demon Wing clan, Mo Tianji. She had once killed an imperial emperor as easily as taking something out of her pocket. After finding the Infinite Desolation Halberd and obtaining the remains of the human sovereign, Mo Tianji could hand them over to others to bring back to Infinite Desolation. She could sneak into the celestial realm and see what was going on with her doppelganger. Mo Tianji already knew about Jun Xuanji. Back then, Sha Mo's doppelganger went to Jun Xuanji's side, while his original body stayed by Mo Xianta's side and took orders from him. Mo Xianta passed the information to Mo Tianji through his original body, so she knew about some details about Jun Xuanji. Mo Xiantu and the others were killed, but Mo Tianji felt that it was still unknown whether Sha Mo's doppelganger was exposed or not. If it wasn't, then everything would go smoothly. Then, she could take Jun Xuanji away or let nature take its course. Even if it was exposed, Mo Tianji knew that humans wouldn't touch Jun Xuanji if they weren't completely sure. As for being completely sure, it was impossible because Jun Xuanji's soul was sealed deep inside. It was impossible to investigate. Solving Jun Xuanji's problem was one of Mo Tianji's ideas. The other was Night Sorrow. She had to solve Night Sorrow's problem to have a chance to get her body back. Taking a deep breath, Mo Tianji pointed her right arm forward and gave the order for the team to set off. Translator, Endless Fantasy Translation Editor. Endless Fantasy Translation. Other than Night Sorrow and Mo Tianji, the team led by the Black Dragons and supported by the White-Winged Serpents had also arrived. They also wanted to achieve something in the reincarnation battlefield. After a night's rest, Night Sorrow led the team forward. Captain, the reincarnation battlefield is a spatial world. But I don't understand its attributes, Tianyu asked as they moved forward. The reincarnation battlefield's known history has been 8 eras. Plus the unknown time in the past, it should have been destroyed long ago. Now, it's still safe and sound. It's already mutated. It's hard to say what its attributes are, Night Sorrow said. In normal worlds, there was a great apocalypse cycle. Normally, it would last for 1 trillion years, or 10 epochs, or 1 cycle. With the reincarnation battlefield's known history and its previous lifespan, it was clearly past the Great Calamity cycle. However, it still existed. This was already illogical. It doesn't matter what element it is. What's important is that we get to the mission location as soon as possible and find the Sky Desolation Halberd and the human sovereign remains. After the mission is completed, we can do whatever we want with the rest of the time, Qijing said. Knight Sorrow nodded. Yes, this mission is too important. It concerns the fate of the 100 tribes of the Celestial Realm and the Demon-Winged Clan. It's currently the 8th era of this reincarnation cycle. The last era of every reincarnation cycle is a period where both sides fight to the death. Therefore, what we can do for the 100 Tribes Alliance is to increase the fate of the human race and suppress the enemy's momentum. 13th brother. You are the Realm Lord of the 9 Regions world. No matter what great calamity it is, it won't affect you, right? Tianyu asked. I don't know about that either. However, you know the situation of the 9 Regions world. It's a newborn world with a lifespan of only tens of thousands of years. The great calamity of this reincarnation cycle shouldn't have anything to do with the 9 Regions world. However, the 3 great worlds of the Chaos Realm should suffer a calamity, Knight Sorrow said. If the 9 Regions world is fine, then we will have a stable place to retreat. Captain, when the time comes, it won't be a problem for some of my relatives in the Hylon world to develop in the 9 Regions world, right? Longjin asked. We are brothers. Naturally, there won't be any problems. Knight Sorrow nodded. He understood. Although Longjin knew his true origins, it was difficult for him to erase his feelings for the Hylon world. It was just like how he couldn't bear to part with Bamboo Garden Village after knowing that he was from the Night Moon Dynasty. Realm Lord, what level of world does Captain own? White Meng Meng glanced at Knight Sorrow. She was from the 9-tailed Fox clan and naturally knew the coldness of a Realm Lord. It's a high-level world that is already developing towards a great world. However, it still needs time because the 9 Regions world has only been formed for a short period of time. You heard it just now. It's only been tens of thousands of years, Knight Sorrow said with a smile. White Meng Meng, let me tell you this. Although the 9 Regions world has only been formed for a short period of time, it is indeed the most beautiful world I have ever seen. The environment is beautiful and the life is filled with moral beauty. It is truly a peaceful place, Tianyu said. Then if you have time, let's go visit Captain's world. White Meng Meng and the others were interested. The 9 Regions world has the best tea, the best wine, and the most beautiful scenery. Tianyu, you haven't returned to the city in the sky for a while. The city in the sky is getting more and more beautiful. It's cloudy in the morning, sunny at noon, and sparkling at night. Knight Sorrow said with a smile. Seeing Knight Sorrow's smiling face, White Meng Meng and the others asked about the city in the sky. Tianyu told them about the creation and history of the city in the sky. After listening to Tianyu's explanation, everyone was filled with curiosity about the 9 Regions world. Battles could happen anytime and anywhere. They weren't a match for the Emperor Realm. Knight Sorrow just watched. Now, the first leader's team was still in the run-in stage. In a situation where there was no fatal threat, it was best to train the team. Knight Sorrow's main body was cultivating his domain in the acceleration of the time-space treasure pagoda. With the experience of fusing domains in the past and the control of the power of virtue, Knight Sorrow's domain fusion wasn't difficult. He just had to find some points of convergence to make his domain more powerful. All he needed was time. There weren't any bottlenecks. As the battle progressed, the first leader's team became more and more compatible. However, they often quarreled with each other. Flower Without Words, who loved to stir up trouble, was often the target of attacks. His ability to organize his words wasn't good. However, when he was counterattacked and beaten up, he just laughed heartily. He could bite whoever he wanted. He had a tolerant heart, and he knew that everyone had taken care of him during this period of time. A harmless attack was also a kind of warmth. The spiritual tree race had a high affinity with medicinal herbs and were all experts in alchemy. However, they weren't good at smithing and array Dao. Therefore, when it came to cultivating array combination attacks, everyone was very accommodating to him. Captain, you don't know, right? Flower Without Words is truly magnanimous. This troublemaker is the grandson of the spiritual tree race's chief. Many years ago, I followed an elder to the spiritual tree race, so I know him. Can't you tell how shameless this guy is? After setting up camp, White Meng Meng, who had run over to drink tea with Night Sorrow, said, "Spiritual tree race's direct descendant? I really couldn't tell. However, it also shows that the spiritual tree race's benevolent and tolerant heart is indeed worthy of their reputation." After hearing White Meng Meng's words, Night Sorrow was astonished. Yes, so the spiritual tree race is very respected in the 100 Races Alliance. White Meng Meng nodded. "Meng Meng, has Yimei been doing well in your nine-tailed fox clan these past few years? Is her surname really that important?" Night Sorrow looked at White Meng Meng and asked, "Yimei is different from me and Bai Lingling. Our living ancestors are the elders of the nine-tailed fox clan, and her ancestor is the chief of the nine-tailed fox clan. We don't know about her surname. An elder mentioned it before, but I think that if the clan really minded, the chief would speak up. However, the chief hasn't mentioned it yet," White Meng Meng said. Chapter 1874. Captain, you don't have to think too much. This matter is not that serious. Those who care about her will not force her to do things she doesn't like, White Meng Meng said. She envied Night Mei because she had a brother like Night Sorrow. At this time, Night Sorrow did not pay attention to what White Meng Meng said. Instead, he was feeling the human emperor's seal. The human emperor's seal had recognized him as its master, so it would not tremble for no reason. He was just a little emotional just now. When the human emperor's seal reacted to his energy, he would continue to pour energy into it. With the infusion of Night Sorrow's merit power, the human emperor's seal trembled again. A feeling appeared in Night Sorrow's heart. Although it was not clear, Night Sorrow could understand that something related to the human emperor's seal had appeared. Night Sorrow could also confirm the direction. "Okay." Night Sorrow waved his arm. "Captain, what's wrong?" White Meng Meng was a little puzzled. She felt that there was nothing wrong with her words. Why did Night Sorrow suddenly seem to be stimulated? "I found something. You are right. Those who care about Night Mei will not force her to do things she doesn't like." Night Sorrow nodded. After camping for a night, they set off again. Before setting off, Night Sorrow gave Bai Lingling and Zhongjiu a direction to explore. That was the direction he felt. Although they did not know why Night Sorrow suddenly pointed out the direction, Bai Lingling and Zhongjiu did not ask. They began to explore in the direction that Night Sorrow had pointed out. Usually they would talk and laugh, but at this time, Night Sorrow gave an order. They could only execute it and could not question it. As they moved forward, they encountered more and more dragon-headed people. Not only dragon-headed people, but also other mutated races. After identification, Night Sorrow and others could confirm that they were the descendants of the Demon Wing clan and other races. Different bloodlines meant different things. Some were good at soul attacks, and some were good at head-on attacks. After traveling for a day, they camped again and drank. Everyone talked about what happened during the day. Today's exploration was more difficult. There were too many monsters. They were all blocking the way. There were also small teams, Bai Lingling said. "Do you think you've chosen the wrong direction today?" Night Sorrow looked at Bai Lingling. "No, I just find it strange." Bai Lingling shook her head. "I think we've chosen the right route today. We're looking for a key location, which means it's a strange place. It would be strange if there weren't any obstacles blocking our way. The more difficult it is, the closer we are to our goal," Flower Without Words said. "It's rare for you to be smart for once." Night Sorrow stood up and left the bonfire, returning to his tent. "Now you know how to take advantage of the situation." Bai Lingling looked at Flower Without Words with dissatisfaction. "It's not that I didn't take advantage of the situation. It's that you didn't find the problem. 2 days ago, when you and Zhongjiu went out to investigate, did the captain specify the direction? No way. Why were there so many demonic beasts blocking the way today? If you think it's a coincidence, then I won't say anything. Go to sleep." Flower Without Words stood up and stretched. "You're on duty today," Dong said to Flower Without Words, who was stretching. Flower Without Words' relaxed face suddenly froze, because she had to go to work. Night Sorrow sat cross-legged in the tent, deducing the combination of domains. It was a tense moment. Night Sorrow's original body and 9 domain doppelgangers were deducing and combining domains in the time acceleration. It was hard to say what kind of opponents they would encounter in the future. It was necessary for them to improve their battle strength to the best state. It was not a pity if they lost in the best state. They had the potential to develop their strength, but they would not be willing to lose or even be killed because they did not develop their strength. After listening to Flower without words' analysis, all the sergeants in the First Army knew that Night Sorrow would not make a decision for no reason. But no one asked, because what they needed to do during the battle was to carry out the orders. Lin Piaomiao was a little worried about Night Sorrow. His original body was cultivating beside the underworld river in the evil Punisher land, while his doppelgangers were in the 9-domain world. She could know the current situation of Night Sorrow from his doppelgangers. Lin Piaomiao was an emperor. Night Sorrow knew the moment she entered the transmission formation at the Moon and Star Lake. When Lin Piaomiao arrived at the city in the sky, Night Sorrow was already waiting for her by the lake. It seems that everything is fine. Lin Piaomiao was relieved when she saw Night Sorrow. Sister Xian, you came at the right time. I have something to tell you. Go back and tell the Grand Elder. Night Sorrow told Lin Piaomiao about the existence of the dragon-headed man and other demonic beasts with the bloodline of the Demon Wing clan. The 100 races of the celestial realm are led by the human race to resist the invasion of the Demon Wing clan. They are extremely repulsed by the Demon Wing clan. It's impossible for them to procreate with them. This doesn't make sense. Lin Piaomiao frowned. That's why I want to see what the Grand Elder has to say. Night Sorrow said. The two of them talked for a while before Lin Piaomiao left. After Lin Piaomiao left, Night Sorrow's doppelganger entered the subbody of the Haotian Godly Pagoda to study and deduce the fusion of domains. In the heavenly desolate city, the Grand Elder was stunned when he received the news from Lin Piaomiao. He forgot that there was such an advantage. There were too few cultivators in the world who had 3 doppelgangers. Night Sorrow was one of them. This was very rare. Under such circumstances, he could send messages any time. After receiving the news from Night Sorrow, the Grand Elder went to find the heavenly desolate city's city lord, and the two of them talked. Dragon-headed people and snake-headed people. Does this have something to do with them standing on the side of the Demon Wing clan? The Grand Elder couldn't figure it out. There are a lot of them. This means that it's a new race inheritance. It's nothing now. If there's a war, it's very likely that they'll stand against us. The heavenly desolate city's city lord, Tran Hung, said. After the Demon Wing clan entered the reincarnation battlefield, they had an advantage over us because of their bloodline. The Grand Elder said worriedly. Yes. However, it'll take some time for the Demon Wing clan to lead a race that has survived alone in the reincarnation battlefield for 8 eras. I believe in Night Sorrow. Tran Hung said. The Grand Elder nodded. I don't know if the Golden Dragon King has gone to the Black Dragon King. Why would the Black Dragons want to be enemies with the 100 Races Alliance? It's really puzzling. The Black Dragons have to be dealt with. We'll wait for news from the Golden Dragon King. If the Black Dragons insist on having their own way, then we'll cooperate with Chirue and get rid of the Black Dragons. A race that can combine with the Demon Wing clan shouldn't exist in the celestial realm. The same goes for the snake-headed people. We've tolerated them too many times. Tran Hung's eyes were cold. If it were just the Black Dragons, the 100 Races Alliance would have already taken action and even exterminated them. However, there were other races among the dragons. Although they were dissatisfied with the Black Dragons and had opinions, if the Black Dragons were exterminated, they would also be in a difficult position. The situation was like pulling one hair and affecting the whole body. Night Sorrow led the team forward. The team was closer to the 2 spies because the battle could break out at any time. Chapter 1875. First issue of original Night Sorrow felt that the direction might be right. Then, there would be demonic beasts that could know the situation at the core of the reincarnation battlefield. If they could capture it alive and dig out something from its mouth, the following actions would be easier. In order to capture this dragon-headed man alive, Night Sorrow changed his tactics. He did not use soul attacks. Instead, he relied on the strength of his body and strength to pin this emperor-level dragon-headed man to the ground. Seeing that Night Sorrow had succeeded, the others came up to help Night Sorrow control the dragon-headed man. However, just as Night Sorrow was about to ask something, the dragon-headed man self-destructed. Fortunately, Night Sorrow and the others discovered it in time. When the dragon-headed man's eyes turned red and the scales on his head stood up, they retreated to avoid it. As a result, the dragon-headed man's self-destruction did not cause any harm to Night Sorrow and the others. Bastards have such backbone? Long Jean scolded. It seems that the shortcut is not so easy to take. It's not easy to get information, Night Sorrow said. Captain, capture another one. Everyone control it. Let Meng Meng and I use soul illusions to see if we can open its memory. Maybe we can get the information we want, Bai Lingling said. Okay, there is pitifully little information on the reincarnation battlefield. No matter who comes in, they will be in the dark. If we can find out some information, then we will have the upper hand, Night Sorrow said. In fact, among the 3 teams that had entered the reincarnation battlefield, only the first team led by Night Sorrow had an advantage. Because of the human emperor's seal, he had a general direction. At the end of the previous reincarnation, Mo Tianji had entered the reincarnation battlefield with the elites of the Demon Wing clan led by the demon ancestor. However, she was an emperor at that time and did not really participate in the battle. Therefore, she had not even reached the core of the reincarnation battlefield. She had some understanding of the environment, but the location of the reincarnation battlefield after opening the space-time tunnel was not fixed. Her past memories were useless. Even if she had a vague impression, she had to find a reference object in her memory to compare. As for the black dragons and the flying serpents, they were even more clueless. They were looking for things in the chaos and came with a mission. At this time, in an ordinary tea house in the ethereal imperial city, a woman in a cloak was drinking tea and paying attention to the Night Moon Villa. Her aura was restrained, just like an ordinary person. But she was not. She was the Emperor, the Black Dragon Princess, dragon language. She was very talented. After she arrived in the celestial realm, she had accumulated. After she reached the celestial realm, she was very. Dragon language struggled because she had to make a choice. In the end, she chose Night Sorrow because her life was saved by Night Sorrow. If Night Sorrow did not save her, she might have been skinned alive by Ling Qianhui. But after waiting for a while near the Night Moon Villa, Dragon Language did not see Night Sorrow appear. But she still waited patiently. In her heart, Night Sorrow was a trustworthy person. Night Sorrow led the first team of soldiers and kept moving forward. They moved in the direction he sensed. Along the way, they met a king-class dragon headman. Night Sorrow subdued him and pressed his body down. Bai Lingling used her illusion and soul power to check the spirit ocean of this king-class dragon headman. After a while, Bai Lingling looked at Night Sorrow and said, "Captain, there is nothing valuable in this guy's memory. He has been living and cultivating in this area since he could remember." "Captain, they are not natural creatures, so they must have parents. It doesn't make sense that they don't even have the memory of their parents. The only explanation is that their memory has been sealed. If a king-class dragon headman can't do it, let's find an imperial-class dragon headman. The imperial-class dragon headman must have a complete memory," Longjin said. "Then let's continue. It's a kind of pressure to have a mission. After we finish the mission, we can do whatever we want," Night Sorrow said. "What should we do with him?" Bai Lingling looked at the unconscious dragon headman and asked. "Don't worry about him. Let him fend for himself," Night Sorrow said and walked forward. "Why don't we kill him?" Tiger Cold looked at Zhuodong and Longjin and asked. "Kill him? For what reason?" "I don't know. He didn't attack us. We caught him first." Longjin stood up and followed Night Sorrow. "Because he is a dragon headman? No. A dragon headman doesn't deserve to die. Forget it." Tiger Cold shook his head and followed the team. Sometimes you didn't need a reason to do something. Sometimes you did. The difference was that you followed your heart. For example, Night Sorrow would kill anyone who wanted to bully the people around him without asking for a reason. However, Night Sorrow didn't think it was appropriate to kill someone who had no enmity with him. There had to be a proper reason to kill him. What happened this time was not a big deal, but it changed the sergeants of the First Army's opinion of Night Sorrow. He was principled and wouldn't bully his opponents just because they were weak. After marching forward for half a day, Chong Jiu found a group of dragon head men. Seeing that they were all at the Imperial Emperor realm, he led them to Knight Sorrow's team. The First Army's team fought together. The might of their joint formation showed. Without any suspense, they decided the direction of the battle. This time, Knight Sorrow didn't kill anyone. He only knocked one out with a golden brick. Then, he, Long Jin, and Tianyu held down a 4-star Emperor Realm dragon-headed man, an early-stage Imperial Emperor. Then, they got Bai Lingling and Bai Meng Meng to prepare illusions. Damn it! You are all seeking death. Our king will kill you. The suppressed dragon-headed man roared. Then, energy surged in his body and he was about to self-destruct. How could Knight Sorrow let him self-destruct? He waved his hand and punched the dragon-headed man's head, making him dizzy and causing the energy in his body to dissipate. Then, he nodded to Bai Lingling. The moment Bai Lingling executed her illusions, the dragon-headed man resisted with all his might. He also executed his soul defense. It's useless to struggle. Knight Sorrow waved his hand and punched again. After being hit in the head by Knight Sorrow's fist, the dragon-headed man was dizzy. Naturally, the circulation of his soul power wasn't coherent and smooth. Bai Lingling's soul power took the opportunity to invade the dragon-headed man's divine sea. However, the dragon-headed man's subconscious resistance was still there. Seeing Bai Lingling frown, Knight Sorrow's right fist knocked on the dragon-headed man's head. This made the soldiers of the First Army who were watching from the side shiver. His methods were too vicious. If he fell into the hands of Knight Sorrow, Long Jin, and Tianyu, he wouldn't be able to die even if he wanted to. The most tragic Imperial Emperor in history, Qi Zheng said. No, he doesn't count. The Green Rock Race's Heaven's Horizon is. He bullied Tianyu and angered the captain. The result was tragic. His doppelganger's head was smashed and then he was taken away, Bai Lingling said. Smashing his head is better than being knocked on the head again and again, Qi Zheng said. He had been in the First Army's encampment all this time. He really didn't know about the competition for the first vanguard of the 100 Races Alliance. Chapter 1876. What do you mean by this and that? It's just our captain who arranged for a big wild boar to rape Heaven's Horizon's ass. Who asked him to be so despicable? Hu Xiao said. He was one of the contestants at that time, so he naturally knew some things about the contestants. That's too cruel. How can she get married in the future? Qi Zheng glanced at Knight Sorrow. Haha. Heaven's Horizon is a man. Bai Meng Meng laughed and said. That's incredible. Qi Zheng didn't say anything. The other sergeants of the First Army grinned and looked at Knight Sorrow from the corner of their eyes. What do you mean? How dare you look at our captain in a special way? Let me tell you, our captain doesn't mind doing anything to protect his brothers and the people around him. I don't care if you support him or not, but if you look at him in a special way, don't blame me for being angry. Long Jin was a little angry. The dragon-headed man was in an illusion, so he didn't need to use force to hold him down. After Long Jin loosened his grip, he was very dissatisfied and even angry when he saw the way these people looked at him. Long Jin, you misunderstood us. We just thought it was funny. No one looked at him in a special way. Hu Xiao stood out and said. Then Qi Zhang and the others apologized and expressed their opinions. No one thought that Knight Sorrow was wrong. It doesn't matter. I don't care about other people's opinions. I will understand those who should understand, and I don't care about those who don't understand. Knight Sorrow also stood up because the dragon-headed man was deeply in an illusion. If he continued to hold him down, it would have a negative effect. We can understand. Bai Meng Meng said. She knew they were just joking, but some things couldn't be made fun of. Back then, I didn't know who my parents were, so I left my adoptive father and went out to learn martial arts. I was 14 years old. When I was 14 years old, Tian Yu and I were together. When we were happy, we laughed together. When we were hurt, we endured together. So, whoever insulted him wanted my life, said Yishan. Zhuodong stood out and apologized again on behalf of everyone. Zhuodong, you think too much. Haha. It's not a big deal. It's just a joke. I just expressed my opinion. Knight Sorrow said with a smile. Bai Lingling's illusion was still being cast. If she wanted to explore the memory of the dragon-headed man, she had to guide it step by step. If she was anxious, it would cause a rebound, and the dragon-headed man would wake up and all her previous efforts would be wasted. It's a blessing to have a brother like Captain. Of course, there's a process to becoming a brother. The sergeants of the First Army can do it. One day, we will make Captain proud of us brothers. Captain, don't think too much about it. Flower Without Words said when he saw that Night Sorrow was deep in thought. You're the one who's thinking nonsense. I'm thinking about something else. We should have killed Celestial Cliffs back then. I think he'll definitely betray the 100 Tribe Alliance, Night Sorrow said. Betray the 100 Races Alliance? That's good. If he dares to betray our 100 Race Alliance, then the captain will capture him and kill him again. I didn't see it the last time, but I must see it this time, White Meng Meng said. You're a woman. Be reserved. You have to be reserved. You still want to watch the wild boar kill people. You have a bad taste. Night Sorrow looked at White Meng Meng speechlessly. White Meng Meng didn't care about Night Sorrow's blow at all and still insisted on watching. The others also laughed. After an hour, Bai Lingling finished casting her illusion. She didn't look too good. Casting an illusion for an hour had consumed a lot of her soul power. The dragon-headed man had also fainted because his spirit sea had been invaded by the illusion for an hour. It was a huge injury. Captain, we've gained a lot. The inheritance of these dragon-headed men and snake-headed men came from the demonic mountain. Their ancestors are on the demonic mountain. Not far from the demonic mountain is Broken Sky Mountain. These two places are forbidden to them. First of all, they're not allowed to return to the demonic mountain. Broken Sky Mountain is dangerous. There are some ferocious void purple light snakes on Broken Sky Mountain. The surroundings are filled with illusory void vortexes. It's too dangerous, Bai Lingling said. Night Sorrow thought for a moment. It seems that the purpose of our trip is Broken Sky Mountain. Not the Demon Mountain? Night Sorrow asked. I don't think so. Back then, the place where the human sovereign and the demon ancestor fought had to withstand the impact of the god-destroying tribulation and the energies of the human sovereign and the demon ancestor. The environment must have been very harsh and unsuitable for living. Broken Mountain fits this description better. Night Sorrow voiced out the reason for his judgment. Captain's analysis makes sense, the Golden Dragon said. But the dragon-headed people and snake-headed people have an ancestor. Their ancestor must be very strong. We may not be able to fight them. Our goal is the infinite wasteland halberd and the human emperor skeleton. As for the ancestors of the dragon-headed man and the snake-headed man, we don't need to think about them. We just need to avoid them. When the world of Samsara is officially born, the masters of the 100 Clans Alliance will come to solve it. That's not our mission. Let's camp here. Night Sorrow ordered. He saw that Bai Lingling was drawing the map according to the memories of the dragon-headed man, so he did not intend to move forward. That would interrupt his train of thought. The unconscious dragon-headed man was kept into the clear sky pagoda by Night Sorrow to suppress him. Update, update, update. After setting up camp, Night Sorrow brewed a pot of tea and fell into deep thought. Long Jin and Tianyu were both by Night Sorrow's side. The others were either resting or on guard. An hour later, Bai Lingling delivered a map to Night Sorrow's tent. Captain, this is based on the memories of the dragon-headed man. His memories are a little blurry because they are from when he was young, but the ratio of the distances on this map should be correct. Thank you. You're the best. Have some tea. Night Sorrow brewed a pot of tea for Bai Lingling. This trip is indeed very dangerous. The mission is not easy to complete, Longjin said. At this time, the initiative is very important. If the Demon-Winged Clan and the Black Dragons take the initiative, then the Demon-Winged Clan and the Black Dragons will take the initiative. That's troublesome. Even if it's dangerous, we still have to try, Night Sorrow said. Brother 13, you're not planning to go alone, are you? That won't do. I don't agree. Besides, it will make things difficult for the brothers in the First Army. Tianyu looked at Night Sorrow. If asked who knew Night Sorrow the best, it would be Tianyu. Night Sorrow looked at Tianyu. He did not expect Tianyu to see through his thoughts. Yes, none of us are afraid of death. It's not appropriate for us to stay, Longjin said. Then let's go together. Night Sorrow nodded. After listening to Tianyu and Longjin's words, he changed his mind and decided to go alone to complete the mission. Whether the mission was completed or not, it would be a blow to the sergeants in the First Army. Everyone went together. With the clear sky pagoda, as long as he did not die, it would protect everyone's safety. After that, Knight Sorrow called all the sergeants in the First Army into the tent. Each of the sergeants in the First Army had a small wooden stool. They were divided into 2 rows facing each other. The closer we get to the location of the mission, the more dangerous it will be. So I'll emphasize again that no one is allowed to resist my soul power at any time, Knight Sorrow said. Chapter 1877. All right, that's what I want to emphasize. Everyone, rest up and conserve your energy, said Yishan. Zhuodong led the others out of Knight Sorrow's tent. It seems that the captain has a plan. Although the mission is dangerous, we still have a chance, Zhuodong said. The captain changed his plan just now. If it weren't for Tianyu's persuasion, we might have become spectators, Bai Lingling said. She knew that Knight Sorrow's original plan was to act alone. The sergeants of the First Army didn't know what was going on after camping for 2 days. In the past, the time of camping was fixed. But now, it was abnormal that they hadn't moved for 2 days. Knight Sorrow also disappeared, but there was a pagoda next to the big tent. At this time, Knight Sorrow's original body and 2 doppelgangers were trying their best to integrate the domain. He didn't set off immediately because he wanted to integrate the death attribute domain into his main domain. The First Army obeyed all orders. Knight Sorrow didn't show up. No matter how many doubts they had, no one asked. On the 4th day, Knight Sorrow appeared. After cultivating for more than half a year in the time-accelerated environment, Knight Sorrow had reached the final stage of integrating the domain. The domain of 2 supreme attributes and 3 advanced attributes was formed. With the help of the power of merit, it was a level 6 domain. Seeing Knight Sorrow, the squad of the First Army gathered quickly. Now, release your doppelgangers. Leave your doppelgangers and gather your original bodies over there. Knight Sorrow pointed at the Haotian pagoda next to the big tent. Everyone did as he said. 29 doppelgangers stayed behind and gathered their original bodies beside the Haotian pagoda. Knight Sorrow's soul power shrouded everyone and sent their original bodies into the Haotian pagoda. Knight Sorrow's soul power shrouded and vibrated. Soon, a group of people disappeared from the transmigration battlefield. However, there was still one person standing there. It was Flower Without Words. Looking at Flower Without Words, Knight Sorrow's body flashed and appeared in front of Flower Without Words. He then slapped Flower Without Words, but his palm stopped right beside Flower Without Words' head. Knight Sorrow looked at Flower Without Words and said, "In a battle of life and death, a single lapse in concentration could cost you your life. You deserve this slap. However, everyone has their own choices, and you have the right to be responsible for your own life." I was distracted. It's not that I don't trust Captain. I was just thinking about how pretty Bai Lingling is, and now you're pulling me into that pagoda. Flower Without Words hurriedly explained after hearing Knight Sorrow's words. As soon as Flower Without Words finished his words, Knight Sorrow's slap landed on his head. Then, Flower Without Words' original body disappeared from everyone's sight. Knight Sorrow turned around and took a step forward, arriving in front of the 29 doppelgangers. Distracted? Distracted? You deserve a slap. I don't care what you're thinking, whether it's a problem with your lower body or not. Remember one thing. Remember what I said. Remember it in your heart. Flower Without Words lowered his head and rubbed it. His original body was hit, and his doppelgangers felt the same. Next, we'll send our doppelgangers out to battle. If there's a need, our original body will come out. Just now I was very satisfied. Other than one simple-minded person, everyone has absolute trust in me. In the past 4 days, I've been busy cultivating. I'm sorry, but this is selfish. I want to increase my strength. This will increase my chances of returning alive to see my wife and children. It will also increase the chances of bringing my brothers and sisters back alive. Knight Sorrow explained what he had been doing for the past 4 days. After hearing Knight Sorrow's words, Zhuodong and the others cupped their fists. At the same time, they were shocked because they couldn't see through Knight Sorrow's strength. If Knight Sorrow had used his killing move, Flower Without Words would not have been slapped just now. If they were in Knight Sorrow's position, Zhuodong and the others knew that they wouldn't be able to defend against him. After arranging for everyone to clean up the camp, Night Sorrow continued to lead them forward. Although they knew that the road ahead was very dangerous, everyone was very confident in Night Sorrow. Flower without words. You like me, don't you? And you think with your lower body? Bai Lingling, who was walking next to Flower without words, put her hand on Flower without words' arm. Flower without words' expression changed. He grimaced and said, I don't think with my lower body. I don't have any experience in this field. Everyone else does, and I won't be like this. Latest chapter. Excerpt. BMC. Everyone looked at Hua Wuyan, including Night Sorrow. This was because Hua Wuyan had opened his mouth and bombarded everyone with his cannon. It was an indiscriminate attack. Night Sorrow was the first to bear the brunt of the attack. Since Flower without words said that he didn't have any experience in this field, it meant that Night Sorrow had experience in this field. Flower without words. Are you trying to hurt each other? All right, then let's talk about our leader. How many wives does he have? But they are all upright and upright. They marry whoever they like. None of them are as dirty as you, Longjin said. Ah, no, Longjin, you're not human. Flower without words shouted as Bai Lingling tightened her grip on his arm. I'm the golden dragon. I really don't care if you say that I'm not human, Longjin said. I curse you to marry a female T-Rex in the future. Flower without words started cursing. You don't know yet, right? Because he fell in love with a human and couldn't marry her, he became the Golden Dragon King. That's also my uncle's regret. That's why he spent so much effort to research a heaven-defying technique, the Dragon Man technique. Those who cultivate the Dragon Man technique can marry other races. His regret won't happen to me. I can freely switch between dragon and human forms, Longjin laughed loudly. Lingling, I was wrong. Everyone has a yearning for beautiful things. Can't you just think about it? Flower without words could tell that no one would support him. After glaring at Flower without words, Bai Lingling released her grip on Flower without words. Why can't the 100 races marry each other? Isn't happiness the most important thing? Night Sorrow didn't quite understand. That's not entirely the case. The major races only value the direct bloodline and those who are close to the direct bloodline. As for the unimportant side branches, no one cares. However, those who cultivate their true bodies won't have the chance to do so, Longjin said. So you and Tianyu can't do it? Night Sorrow asked. I'm an exception. Other than the Dragon Man technique, I'm the only descendant of the Golden Dragon race. After my uncle sealed my memories, he threw me into the chaotic realm. Due to the effects of traveling through time and space, I spent my time in confusion before becoming a venerable. I could transform after becoming a venerable, but because I was confused and had no memories, I gave up on my dragon form and chose to cultivate the human form of the leader of the 100 spirits. When I return to the clan, I will cultivate to the Emperor realm and cultivate the Dragon Man art. Only then will I be able to switch between the golden dragon and the human body. There are some restrictions that don't apply to me. I can marry whoever I want. It seems like the golden dragon race will be ruined by your hands. White Meng Meng looked at Longjin and said. That won't happen. I can marry whoever I want, but the prerequisite is that I have to choose a princess from the other dragons and continue the bloodline of the golden dragon race, Longjin said. Longjin, we're brothers. Can the Green Rock race cultivate the Dragon Man technique? If they can't, can they use your Dragon Man technique to cultivate the Green Rock technique? Otherwise, I won't have any hope in this life. I don't dare to say that I like someone either. It's too depressing. Tianyu looked at Longjin and said. Chapter 1878. You don't have to worry about that. Tianyu shook his head. He didn't want to talk about it. How can you not care? By the time you solve the problem, she will have become your wife. By then it will be too late. You have to make arrangements first. Longjin was a little worried for Tianyu. Impossible. She doesn't like normal people. Besides, I accidentally let it slip last time. She should have felt it, Tianyu said. Then, no matter how Longjin dug, no matter how Night Sorrow asked, Tianyu didn't say anything. Yishang was puzzled. The girl that Tianyu liked must be someone that he and Longjin knew. Otherwise, there was nothing that Tianyu couldn't say. A girl that both he and Longjin knew. He looked at Long Jean but didn't find anything. Captain, during the time you weren't with us, all we did was cultivate. We didn't have any contact with outsiders. Long Jean knew what Night Sorrow wanted to ask. There are only a few single women that we know. None of them have the possibility of starting a family, so there's nothing to worry about. When we go back, we'll slowly dig deeper. It's impossible that we won't be able to find one. Tianyu, you've finally grown up. Brother Shirsan is happy. In the future, I'll be the godfather of your son or daughter. No, definitely not. Tianyu blushed and shook his head. Night Sorrow stopped and looked at Tianyu. I didn't expect you to be so ruthless. Yishang came to a realization. No one mentioned this again. The group continued forward. Night Sorrow didn't use Bai Lingling and Zhongjiao as scouts. His doppelgangers were scouting ahead. There were dragon-headed and snake-headed people, so they avoided them directly. There was not a single battle in the day. After setting up camp, Tianyu started a fire. He took out the prepared barbecued meat. There was no battle today, so there was no prey. He could only use the prepared food and wine. While drinking, Bai Lingling and Zhongjiao reflected on their actions. F update L knew best. P up-2Y? This was because they felt that their scouts weren't good enough. When the two of them were scouting ahead, they often had to fight. On the other hand, Night Sorrow didn't fight a single battle after advancing for a day. Although there were detours, the distance they advanced was much greater than the previous few days. Naturally, there wasn't a single battle. Every cultivator is good at different things. You guys aren't able to hide your auras well. If an emperor rank or soul power surpasses yours, they will naturally discover you guys first. This isn't your fault. When we return, I will teach you how to strengthen this point. Night Sorrow said. Bai Lingling and Zhongjiao nodded. They understood this point. When they were not fighting, Night Sorrow's body did not emit any energy. His aura was just like an ordinary person's, and his energy was perfectly restrained. Night Sorrow's leakless true body was an absolute art. It was a trump card for cultivators of the primal chaos realm to overcome the ninth order tribulation of wind and fire. Celestial realm cultivators all had their own methods to overcome the ninth order tribulation of wind and fire, but none were as heaven-defying as the leakless true body. Lin Piaomiao's doppelganger went to the nine-domain world to ask about the situation. Night Sorrow's nine-domain world doppelganger asked her to help find information about the void purple light snake. If the dragon-headed man was afraid, it meant that the void purple light snake was very powerful. Therefore they had to understand it. Lin Piaomiao couldn't find anything in the Misty Empire's library, so she went to the Desolate City to find Seventh Elder. She was now the successor of Discipline Elder, so she didn't need to distance herself from Lu Qi. At Lu Qi's residence, Night Sorrow saw the Grand Elder and Lu Qi discussing something. From the nine-domain world? Grand Elder looked at Lin Piaomiao and asked. Yes, Night Sorrow now has a target. Although he can't be sure it's the place where the Emperor died, I trust his judgment. He asked me to find information about the void purple light snake. I didn't find anything, so I plan to ask Seventh Elder. Lin Piaomiao said. Void purple light snake. Did they encounter it? How much damage did the team suffer? Grand Elder stood up, his face full of shock. They didn't encounter it, but there will be one at the target location. Besides, the team didn't suffer any injuries or losses, Lin Piaomiao said. However, from the Grand Elder's expression and the analysis of the Grand Elder's words, she knew that the void purple light snake was very powerful. Piaomiao, sit down. Let me tell you, then you can inform Night Sorrow. Grand Elder waved his hand at Lin Piaomiao. With the Grand Elder's explanation, Lin Piaomiao understood why the Grand Elder was so shocked. The void purple light snake was very domineering. It was a void creature with the void sovereign attribute. It could travel through the void at an extremely fast speed. In addition, its body was very small, so it was very difficult to hit it or block it outside the defense. If it couldn't be blocked, the consequences would be severe. The void purple light snake could devour all energy to strengthen itself. Unsolvable. Hearing the Grand Elder's explanation, Lin Piaomiao was a little anxious. It's very difficult to solve. Even if there is a defensive treasure, it will be pierced through by the void purple light snake. The void violet light snake's body is small, but its attack power is strong. If it attacks from a single point, it can break through a single point. All defenses won't be able to last for long. After saying this, the Great Elder fell into deep thought. This was a crisis for Night Sorrow. After thinking for a while, Grand Elder stood up. Piao Miao, go and tell Night Sorrow to stop moving forward and not act rashly. I'll go and find the City Lord and King Yawu to see if there's a solution. After hearing the news from Lin Piao Miao, Night Sorrow thought for a while and shook his head. We can't wait. It's a waste of time and it's easy for problems to arise. It's easy for the demon-winged race to take the initiative. Night Sorrow shook his head. If we can't solve it, then can the demon-winged race solve it? Lin Piao Miao asked. I haven't said what I'm most worried about. It's Mo Tianji. Her body is suppressed in the 9-domain world, but she has been trying to take it back. That means she's a spiritual existence. What if the demon-winged race gives up an emperor and allows her to take over his body? If she enters the reincarnation battlefield, she'll have an advantage over everyone. I have to consider this. This is also the reason why I've been in a hurry to perfect my domain. I'm preparing to compete with her. Night Sorrow said. After hearing Night Sorrow's analysis, Lin Piao Miao's expression changed. It was completely possible. Although I don't want to face danger, as the Merit Emperor of the human race, there are some responsibilities that I have to bear. Night Sorrow said. He had already made his decision. Lin Piao Miao bit her lips and didn't say anything. Since Night Sorrow had made his decision, she could only support it. Tell the Grand Elder that since I'm the leader this time, I'll be in charge of the operation. Night Sorrow said to Lin Piao Miao. In the reincarnation battlefield, Night Sorrow looked at the group behind him and said, Broken Mountain is very dangerous. The Grand Elder asked us to stop moving forward, but I don't want to do that. According to my estimation, if we stop moving forward, we'll lose the initiative. If we lose the initiative, this mission will fail. But I respect everyone's decision. No matter what, I, Night Sorrow, will bear the responsibility. We, the First Army, only take orders from the leader. As for the Council of Elders, it's none of our business. If there's any punishment, we'll bear it together with the leader. Zhuodong said. Okay, let's continue. As long as we're determined, there's nothing we can't bear. Night Sorrow smiled. The First Army didn't let him down. Lin Piao Miao returned to the desolate city and went to the Grand Elder's small space. She saw that the desolate city's City Lord and King Yawu were both there. Chapter 1879. That's courage. His analysis makes sense. It's very possible, said King Yawu. It's because I'm getting more and more timid. If the demon wing race really gets the upper hand, I'll be a sinner. How do we deal with the void purple light snake? We need to find a way quickly. Otherwise, those children will be in danger. Night Sorrow is the only virtuous emperor of the human race. He's about to become the virtuous emperor. We can't make any mistakes, said the Grand Elder. The Grand Elder said the key to the problem. The void purple light snake is domineering. It can devour energy, but can it devour virtuous energy? I don't think it'll be easy. The power of merit is bestowed by the way of the heavens. Those who don't have a body of merit can't have it, nor can they use it. The void purple light snake is overbearing, but it can't be above the rules, said King Yawu. That's true. Even if the void purple light snake can break through the virtuous energy, it won't be that easy. It will buy him some time. But Elder Lin, you have to tell Night Sorrow to be careful, said the City Lord to Lin Piao Miao. Lin Piao Miao nodded and left the small space world of the Grand Elder. She told Night Sorrow about King Yawu and the City Lord's suggestion. Yi Shang hadn't expected that the City Lord and King Yawu would think so highly of the void purple light snake. But even if he knew how powerful the void purple light snake was, Yi Shang had to keep going. Night Sorrow also had some confidence. His territory had leveled up. It was a level 5 ultimate territory. With the help of the virtuous energy, his territory was very powerful. Within the territory, Night Sorrow had an absolute advantage. Why did he say it was an ultimate territory? Because Night Sorrow felt that with 2 ultimate attributes and 3 advanced attributes, there wouldn't be any combination of attributes that could be stronger than this. As for the life energy in his body, Night Sorrow planned to cultivate it when he had time. He couldn't touch the forbidden energy. He could cultivate it, but he didn't need to fuse it. Bai Lingling and Zhongjiu were not the only ones who admired Night Sorrow's ability to explore the way forward. Not only was there no battle on the first day, the second day was the same. There was no battle at all. This showed that Night Sorrow's reconnaissance skills were at the pinnacle of perfection. Captain, can you tell me what you're not good at? You're good at speed, and your strength is more ferocious than several of our divine beast clans. Not to mention your soul power, you could kill the dragon-headed man in one move. Your ability to investigate the enemy's situation is also unparalleled, Bai Lingling said. It's not as exaggerated as you say, Night Sorrow said with a smile. That's amazing. Captain, when you enter the Emperor realm, few people will be your match except for the older generation of cultivators, Zhuodong said. He was really happy because he was a human. Night Sorrow smiled. He took Bai Lingling's map and analyzed it. He realized that there really was a deviation. The distance between the reference points on the map was wrong. Captain, is there a problem with the map? The dragon-headed man's memory can't be fake, so can Lingling's drawing, Bai Lingling said. It's not your drawing or the dragon-headed man's memory. It's because too much time has passed and the geological situation has changed. It's different from the dragon-headed man's memory. The Broken Sky Mountain is very close to the Demon Mountain. It's unrealistic to completely avoid the dragon-headed man and the snake-headed man. Night Sorrow thought for a while and said, So it's very risky? Zhuodong looked at Night Sorrow and asked. Yes. We don't know what the ancestors of the dragon-headed man and the snake-headed man are. They might be peak emperors, or cultivators of the 9 emperors' tribulation of the heavenly Tao. They might even be cultivators of the emperor's tribulation. We'll be doomed if we encounter them, Night Sorrow said with a smile. Captain, don't scare us. It's too scary. Flower Without Words said. I'm not scaring you. You can't do anything without careful thinking. Once you think about it carefully, you'll find a problem. How long has the reincarnation battlefield been? 8 eras. 8 eras is enough for an outstanding cultivator to grow into a world-defying giant. We're not even emperors. They can crush us with their little finger. Night Sorrow looked at Flower Without Words and said. Dodge. We have to dodge. Otherwise we'll be doomed. White Meng Meng said. Don't I want to dodge? I'm scared too. If we can avoid the battle, we should avoid it. It's better to sneak in. As long as there's a battle, there will be a large amount of energy fluctuation. It's easy to be discovered. Night Sorrow exhaled and said. Captain, you're really brave. How can you not be nervous in such a dangerous situation? Captain, let me tell you, Meng Meng and I are not married yet. If we were to be tormented to death like this, we wouldn't be satisfied, Bai Lingling said. We have a lot of brothers in the First Army. Tell me which one you like. I can help you at any time. Then you won't have any regrets, Night Sorrow said as he took out a jar of wine and drank it. The feelings are with the captain. Is this how you solve your regrets? I'm convinced. Bai Lingling stopped talking. Simple and violent is the most effective. I'm just kidding. I'll think of a way to be as careful as possible. Night Sorrow nodded at Bai Lingling. The leader of the Black Dragons this time was the Black Dragon's Gong Zibai. Gong Zibai's strength was not bad. However, his position in the Black Dragons was very low because he was a hybrid. Gong Zibai's mother was a side branch of the Black Dragons. Therefore, she was less restricted. In addition, she was more lascivious. Therefore, Gong Zibai was born. As for who his father was, his mother didn't know. Only the heavens knew. Among the dragons, powerful descendants were known as the Prince of Dragons. Those with higher bloodlines were known as the Little Marquis of the Dragons. However, Gong Zibai was different. His father's identity was unknown. He followed his mother's surname. Even if he cultivated to the peak of the Emperor realm, he could only be called Gong Zibai in the Black Dragons. Gong Zibai led the Black Dragons and the Flying Serpents. They followed a dragon-headed man and advanced towards Broken Mountain. First Mo Tianji also found the reference point of the reincarnation battlefield in her memories. She also began to advance towards Broken Mountain. It could be said that all 3 factions had a clear goal. Night Sorrow's clone was scouting the path. It was the leakless true body that activated the 9-region origin pearl to assist the soul power scouting. Night Sorrow's soul power was much stronger than ordinary cultivators. It was at least 1/3 stronger. This was because his divine ocean's capacity was larger than cultivators of the same level. With the 9-region origin pearl's assistance, he was already at the Emperor realm. Originally, the 9-region origin pearl was carried by Night Sorrow's original body. His clone was protected by the Green Lotus Jade bracelet. Because the clone needed soul power to scout the path, Night Sorrow made a switch. Chapter 1880. Night Sorrow was very careful because it was too risky. It would be troublesome if they attracted those invincible masters. After walking for half a day, Night Sorrow's original body stopped. "Captain, what's wrong?" Zhuodong asked. "We have to fight now. The road ahead is blocked without any gaps. There are groups of dragon-headed monsters and snake-headed monsters," Night Sorrow said with a wry smile. "Hurry up and take us there." "Don't be in danger," Tianyu said with Long Jin's wave knife in his hand. "I've checked. The easiest way is blocked by 7 dragon-headed monsters, 4 Emperor level and 3 Emperor level. It's easy to kill them, but we can't make too much noise," Night Sorrow said. "Captain, you arrange it," Zhuodong said. "Which one of you is good at soul attacks? If the negative effects aren't good enough, then it's a violent soul attack," Night Sorrow asked. "I can. The Golden Dragon Clan has a unique soul attack skill, Dragon Spear. If I use it with my doppelganger, the dragon-headed monsters won't be able to resist it," Long Jin said. "Okay, you'll be in charge of one of them. Who else?" Night Sorrow asked. "Captain, I can use Soul Shock Wave." A sergeant named Song Qiao said. He was a squad leader in the First Army and his strength was among the best in the First Army. "Good. That's enough. 4 Emperor-level monsters. 3 of us will be in charge of the first attack. The others will be divided into 7 groups. I'll take you there with my space magic treasure. When the 4 of us start to attack, the others will attack. Remember, don't spread your energy. Concentrate your energy in your weapons and kill them directly," Night Sorrow said. Following Night Sorrow's order, the squads of the First Army were divided into groups in an instant. Remember, the moment you appear, no matter what type of soul attack you use, even if you don't know how to use a soul attack, use your soul power to attack. Then, gang up on them and use all your weapons. Next, Night Sorrow kept everyone into the Clear Sky Divine Pagoda. Then, he reunited with his clone. At present, the team was close to the Magic Mountain area. Night Sorrow knew that he must be careful and must control the energy fluctuations generated by the battle. In this case, there would be no sequelae and it would not attract other groups of dragon-headed people. There was no lone dragon-headed person in this area. After Night Sorrow's main body met up with his clone, the clone carried the Haotian Divine Pagoda and flew. "I'll be in charge of the 2 peak stage King Realm dragon-headed men. As for the remaining 2 mid-level sovereign emperors, the male Long Jin and the female Song Qiao, you'll be in charge. The rest of you will form groups and find your targets and kill them directly." Night Sorrow's original body in the Haotian Godly Pagoda emphasized the arrangement to the soldiers of the First Army. "Captain, according to the map I drew, we are now close to the Demon Mountain," Bai Lingling said. "That's right. If we were elsewhere, we would directly attack them violently. These 7 dragon-headed people wouldn't have the qualifications to block our path. However, we can't do it now. We have to deal with them as soon as possible. If they wail and howl, the other dragon-headed people will rush over." Night Sorrow said the reason why he was really worried. Night Sorrow's clone restrained his aura and advanced. When he was still 20,000 miles away, he was discovered by this small group of dragon-headed people. Seeing that there was only Night Sorrow alone, the 7 dragon-headed people rushed towards Night Sorrow. Night Sorrow also sped up and approached. The dragon-headed people didn't roar and didn't toss and turn. This was a good thing. The moment the 2 sides approached, Night Sorrow's original body rushed out of the Haotian Divine Pagoda with the First Army's troops. Then, 2 soul-extinguishing slashes slashed towards the 2 peak stage sovereign emperors. After the soul-extinguishing slash was released, Night Sorrow's original body and clone both used the void steps and rushed towards the 2 peak stage sovereign emperors. Night Sorrow's soul-extinguishing slash was an absolute art. When the crescent blade of the soul-extinguishing slash collided with the opponent's soul defense energy, the influence of the reincarnation scene was transmitted. When the opponent was affected, Night Sorrow's crescent blade continuously vibrated and cut into the opponent's spirit sea. Night Sorrow's original body's reincarnation spear and his clone's blood-chilling evil-slaying spear pierced into the opponent's head. The battle was completed in a flash. Other than the untouchable fluctuation of soul power, no energy fluctuation was triggered. This caused the two groups of people who cooperated with Night Sorrow to be unable to stab the target after their sabers and swords reached. What was the point of stabbing a corpse? When Night Sorrow turned around, he found that the battle was already over. However, the battle was very brutal. Other than the two peak-stage sovereign emperors that Night Sorrow killed, the other 5 dragon-headed men were dismembered because the other soul attacks were not fatal. Long Jin's soul attack, Dragon Spear, could kill his opponent. When his opponent was about to fall, Flower Without Words, who had a relatively fast movement technique, gave him 2 slashes. After the battle was over, Night Sorrow's soul power swept out and his domain shook. The dragon-headed man's body was completely annihilated. Then, Night Sorrow's original body's soul power enveloped everyone and entered the clear sky pagoda. A domain was a manifestation of the momentum of heaven and earth. It was the will and the law. It only covered an area and would not cause any energy fluctuation. Zhuodong, put away these scraps. Although they're not refined well, they're made of good materials. Yi Shang threw the dragon-headed man's weapon to Zhuodong, which he had deliberately kept. Night Sorrow's clone carried the clear sky godly pagoda. After concealing his aura, he continued to move forward. He was still very cautious. This was not a good place. If he was not careful, the consequences would be very serious. Captain, what's the situation now? Zhuodong asked. It's safe and there are no accidents. Night Sorrow smiled. His soul power had been paying attention to the area where the battle took place. No other dragon-headed men and snake-headed men were approaching. After a while, Night Sorrow's original body carried the clear sky godly pagoda and separated from his clone. It was still dangerous for his clone to explore the way. He could not put all his hopes in one place. Not to mention his own safety, he also had to consider the safety of his brothers in the First Army. Night Sorrow's original body also transferred these people's clones out of the clear sky godly pagoda. My clone will explore the way ahead. We will follow behind secretly. If we can kill those who block the way, we will kill them directly. If we can't, we will take a detour. Captain, we killed the 7 dragon-headed men in an instant. Is there anyone we can't kill? White Meng Meng asked. Miss Bai, the 7 dragon-headed people were the smallest group in that area. Just now on the left and right sides, there was a group of more than 10 dragon-headed people and a group of more than 20 snake-headed people. It's too difficult to kill them silently, Yishan said. I see. But with our captain leading us, it's safe. White Meng Meng nodded with a smile. Night Sorrow's clone constantly corrected the route as there were too many dragon-headed men and snake-headed men blocking the way. Zhuodong and the others knew that Yi Shang had put in a lot of effort to make White Meng Meng feel safe when she saw him constantly changing his route. The soldiers of the First Blood Army will not cower in battle. After hearing Tiger Cold's words, Zhuodong and the sergeants of the First Army were dissatisfied because it was not the style of the First Army to retreat. Oh no. Everyone misunderstood. I won't back down. I'm just expressing my shock, Tiger Cold explained. He didn't want others to think that he was afraid of death because of what he said just now. Tiger Cold is not that kind of person. Besides, the captain must have his own ideas. We just need to move forward according to his tactical arrangement, Flower Without Words explained for Tiger Cold. I don't know if my idea will work or not, but don't worry. I, Night Sorrow, will never cheat others. When we arrive at the Broken Mountain, I'll give it a try. If I can withstand it, we'll take the risk. If not, I'll take you back even if my doppelganger dies, Night Sorrow said. In the past, the First Blood Army's missions were all open battles. This is the first time we've accepted such a difficult mission. According to Captain Tang Kei's character, he can't fight this battle. Fortunately, Captain Knight is here. Otherwise, we would have been annihilated, Zhuodong said. Let's try our best. If we succeed, we'll be proud of ourselves when we look back one day. Knight Sorrow nodded to Zhuodong. Originally, we planned to earn some military merits in the First Blood Army and show them off when we return to our family. But we didn't expect that the pressure would be so great. But it's good. The greater the pressure and the greater the difficulty, the more glorious the future will be, Flower Without Words said. Well, we'll set up camp after 10,000 miles. Today, I'll have a drink with my brothers and sisters, Knight Sorrow said. Knight Sorrow knew that the difficulty of this mission had brought pressure to everyone. Although everyone was determined, if they didn't release the pressure, they would feel depressed, which was not good for the morale of the team. When they arrived at the safe place where Knight Sorrow's doppelganger camped, Longjin and Tianyu took out the wine and meat and put them on the table. Brother, you're well prepared. It doesn't look like a life-or-death mission at all. It's more like a trip. Tiger Cold sat down next to Longjin. You can't do it. Just now, your face was like an old woman's. Tianyu and I have carried out many life-or-death missions with the captain. Every time, we've completed them perfectly. It's no different from a trip. So we have to be comfortable during the process, Longjin said. Yes, you can't do it. You haven't seen the world, Tianyu said after drinking a glass of wine. Tianyu, you've only lived for a few hundred years. How can you say that you haven't seen the world with me, a practitioner who has lived for hundreds of millions of years? Bai Lingling looked at Tianyu with dissatisfaction. Yes, I'm talking about you. How many times have you participated in the War of Forces, Realm Wars, and Realm Wars? How many times have you entered the harsh alien space? How many times have you been on the verge of death? Tianyu asked. Bai Lingling pointed at Tianyu but couldn't say anything. Tianyu made it sound like she hadn't experienced it before. We're like flowers in a greenhouse. Tianyu, Longjin, and the captain are different. Now, Brother 13 can defeat any practitioner of the same level as us. Not just Brother 13, Longjin can do it, and I, Tianyu, can do it too. So, our lives are wonderful. Of course, after this incident, your lives will be wonderful too, Tianyu said. Although I'm angry looking at your face, I have to say that what you said does make sense, Bai Lingling said. Believe in yourself, believe in the brothers who fight side by side. Believe in me, Knight Sorrow. Then, this journey will be a happy one. It will be a journey worth remembering, Knight Sorrow said with a smile. Our glorious journey begins when we enter the First Army and fight side by side with the captain. Captain, do you want to accept this glass of wine? Bai Lingling raised the glass in her hand to Knight Sorrow. Of course, why wouldn't I accept it? Knight Sorrow said with a smile. He had achieved his goal of drinking wine. What he wanted was the momentum and the atmosphere. Captain, we're holding you back. But we'll do it until the end, Zhuodong said. Nonsense. You may not be able to stop the void purple light snakes, but do you expect me to kill the Demon Wing Clan and the Black Dragons? That's your business. Haha. Knight Sorrow said with a laugh. You're tuning in to the Xiaofan's Wuxia Tales YouTube channel. Don't forget to subscribe and join us on this journey to catch the most captivating stories.